So, WandaVision, poster and trailer finally, and we're actually going to have a Disney Plus show from Marvel in the year 2020 after all those announcements were made last year and a full year of Disney Plus is going to have gone by and we're not going to get any shows, but it looks like we'll get one in December, hopefully, with WandaVision. So, what do you guys think?
It looks very, very interesting, but definitely scratching my head.
It's very
Kind of
trippy.
like, yeah. I have some theories about where it's going, but
House of
I
M.
mean, yeah, I mean, well, originally I didn't even think about that until I saw I guess the article, but or that picture of the wine bottle or whatever. But in the trailer, I thought like it was in her head, like she had some type of mental breakdown, and like it's not really going on, or maybe they were lost in the multiverse or whatever. But um, it's definitely like very trippy for sure.
Yeah,
It'll be interesting to see.
it looks like the whole show is in her head, like
Yeah,
Vision.
yeah.
Like they made it clear, like it's post Infinity War, like Vision's
Okay.
dead. Like in the trailer when Catherine Hahn's character like goes like she's like worried she was dead because he's dead. Um,
Is
that definitely looks like what's going on here.
Yeah, mental breakdown maybe post Infinity War.
does Wanda get snapped?
Wanda
Like,
does
No.
get snapped.
So
Does she?
maybe it's in the Soul
It
Stone.
could be in the Soul Stone or it could
Yeah,
be
that's a
post
good
Endgame
point.
when she comes back to life and then she actually finally then has to deal with the fact that Vision died.
Yeah.
Isn't
Yeah, I mean,
but
what were you gonna say, Doug?
isn't the House of M storyline like she recreates reality?
Yeah, with so if I remember correctly, with House of M, it's she has like a mental breakdown from someone dying. I think it's like her children or something, and one of the ways for her to cope is she creates like a completely different reality, and she like basically lives in it. And
That's
but
what this
Quicksilver,
looks like, and it looks like
yeah,
so
it does.
like
You're right.
in the real world, like they have it whatever reality she's created. They've kind of like I got the impression that they boxed it in because we
Hmm.
saw some footage of this giant area that's just got like a big canopy football stadium over it. And so I was thinking like she reshaped reality in just like that area, and they've like just kind of
Like she's in captivity, maybe.
yeah, maybe they just like don't know what to do with her, so they just kind of like blocked it off, quarantined her down.
It's
Oh,
possible.
don't
I
say
mean,
those
the only
words.
thing with that is with. I mean, they could introduce Magneto and Quicksilver. I mean, well, Magneto, Quicksilver's dead, but they could introduce Magneto somehow because he's if that's the story that they're doing, because he's involved in that. So I don't know. Should be interesting.
Looks fun. I like the costumes. I like how some of the costumes are like they look like they went to a costume store and they're
Yeah.
dressing up as like the Vision costume is just
The
like
It's like the
cotton.
Yeah,
OG Vision
classic.
costume from the
Yeah,
comics, I'm pretty sure. And then she gets
yeah.
her Scarlet Witch one from the comics.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's kind of fun.
I mean, this may be a way to bring in the X-Men. Maybe when she's creating all this bullshit, she creates a world where the X-Men exist.
Hmm. How many episodes is this?
I believe only 6.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all
So I
these
guess it
shows
makes
are supposed to
sense.
be fairly quick. Hopefully, they're just hour-long episodes and not 30
I
minutes.
was gonna say hopefully they're not 20 minutes Mandalorian
Otherwise, then
episodes.
it's just a movie that is
Yeah,
shortened
Yeah.
yeah.
into bite-sized pieces. It does look like a fun like tour through the history of television, and
Hmm.
I mean, it wasn't a surprise that they debuted it during the Emmys, um, which is celebration of television.
Hmm.
So
It was cool because I got like a huge Bewitched and like Dick Van Dyke show vibe out of what we saw.
yeah,
I'm sure they'll.
Got some Brady Bunch. It looked like.
Yeah, that's true. Just kind of celebrating, television, which is cool. But the story definitely is going to be interesting to see where it goes.
But what's nice about
Exactly.
it is it seems like Marvel's branching out. They're doing something different. It's not the same stuff we've seen every time, and so I kind of like that they're taking risks and kind of doing something a little different.
Yeah, it seems wacky. It seems to be definitely the most whimsical thing they've done so far. Definitely goes out more on a limb than something like the Guardians, which is their typical humor franchise. Kind of the way they've been taking Thor too, I guess. More humorous route, but they're really dipping their toes into like full on. It seems like comedy, be it dark comedy, maybe.
Yeah, and that's the benefit of TV. Like, you're not getting people. You don't have to sell people on paying money and going out to see something where you expect something, a fairly generic superhero movie if you're seeing it in theaters, but they can try different things on TV since if you're a subscriber, you're going to be watching it for free. So you're not going to be as judgmental or things like that. So it'll be fun to see how it actually comes together later this year.
It looks promising for things to come, like Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, which that looks like now will come out in 2020. Oh, it will definitely come out in 2021.
Let's hope.
Since Disney Plus put out a commercial with all of the things coming out the remainder of the year, they did not include that on there. While WandaVision was on there. But there is some movement on their properties, specifically on their newer characters, which is pretty exciting. Previously, everything that had been announced and revealed so far had been in relation to existing characters and stuff like that, like Loki, Hawkeye, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and WandaVision. But this past week, She-Hulk was cast the title role, and it is going to be played by Tatiana Maslany from Orphan Black, Perry Mason, which we talked about a ton this past summer. So what do you guys think of that casting? Was there somebody that you would hoped to see in the role? I know a lot of people online had been hoping for Alison Brie.
I don't have too much of a connection to She-Hulk by any means, so it's not like I was really holding my breath for anyone. I feel like their casting is probably better than Alison Brie.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. Better actress, I think.
Yeah, I definitely feel a little bit more comfortable with that. Not like my world will be shattered if She-Hulk's not good, or really any of these Marvel TV series.
Yeah. I mean, eventually these characters are going to go into the movies and stuff. Like, this is just a way to get them known prior. And there just isn't enough real estate right now to be making movies for all of them.
Yeah.
But when the Ant-Man trilogy is done and all these other trilogies are done, then they'll eventually be people who already know them. They can dive right into those release dates. I feel like the only one that's going to exceed 3 is Thor. Thor's going to have like 2 trilogies by the time it's done.
Well, I mean, because it's got a little bit of a rebirth. If it was still the same Thor from 1 and 2, I'd be screaming at Disney to put it out of its misery.
Yeah, exactly. Chris Hemsworth has zero desire to leave.
Yeah, Ant-Man is confirmed a trilogy. There's going to be no more of those movies after 3.
I mean, it's been confirmed that 3 is happening. There has not been word on post 3, but I'm just saying it based on the fact that Captain America won 3, Iron Man won 3. Guardians is at least getting 3.
I don't know why I always think there's a 4th Iron Man.
Civil War kind of feels like since it was like a co-lead.
It's true. Yeah,
I guess they want to give new characters some time to breathe too. I mean, this is a good way to do it. I mean, introduce them in television show format, and then they can see which ones are popular.
Yeah,
and give them films. If
do you?
Which is pretty cool.
You think Mark Ruffalo is going to appear on this, or do you hope he? Or do you hope
probably? He'll probably pop in.
He probably will. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really know nothing. I'm with GP. I really don't know anything about like She-Hulk's origin.
Aren't they related?
How she gets
her and Bruce. Like, I think they're like cousins or something.
Yeah, I believe they're cousins.
Yeah, I don't know.
So he'll probably pop in and be like, "Oh, hey, cuz, like, how's it going?"
But she just so happens.
And I could totally picture him talking just like that too.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I don't
She
know if
so
he'll be like
happens-
Professor Hulk at that point,
It's possible.
or they just
Yeah,
won't
I mean,
have want to
unless it
spend the
takes
money.
unless it takes place prior, like the 5 years prior to Endgame, I imagine he would be Professor Hulk.
But I mean, that would
What's
make no sense though, because then you're setting up a superhero that could have helped at Endgame, and
True.
like, where the fuck were you this whole time?
Yeah.
It's like you'll get
She
Just
was-
like
Scarlet
Captain
Witch.
Marvel.
She
Yeah,
was
and Scarlet Witch, who
trying-
can create a whole new world, and you're like, well, where was this when we were fighting Thanos at the end of the last movie?
She had an important legal case, and she had to be in court.
She had to go to court.
Wait, oh, she's a lawyer?
Yeah, it's supposed.
How does she get irradiated or whatever? How does she
I don't know. You're asking.
get with the gamma radiation?
From what we were told by someone that seems to know some stuff about comics, it's like a blood transfusion or something like that. So it's not full on radiation.
It's like a
And
lower
she-
dose.
Yeah, so she
Got
gets
it.
less of like the strength of the Hulk and more of the. She can still think freely while still being
it.
buff and.
So she's gonna be talking and everything, just like Professor Hulk.
Yeah, I think she's supposed
Which
to
is
be
cool.
funny, isn't she? She's supposed to be like kind of like Deadpool, like a fourth wall breaking, funny
Oh,
character. And
I didn't know
the
that.
people that they've hired to run this thing, I mean, they're like Always Sunny and Rick and Morty, right?
Yeah, it was the Pickle Rick writer.
Oh
That
fuck!
is-
So we're gonna have to be really smart to watch this movie, then, huh? That's
Yes,
gonna be a
so
problem.
Study up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start reading.
So,
And outside of She-Hulk, we also got some directors lined up for the season of Ms. Marvel. So that's going to be the directors of Bad Boys for Life. They're attached to it now. Nobody has been cast yet in the role of Ms. Marvel, but it's kind of, I guess it's kind of smart that they made her the centerpiece of the new Avengers video game, since that's kind of the perfect way to make people familiar with her prior to this TV show coming out.
Yeah, I don't know anything about her. I thought she was Captain Marvel. I think that'll be really confusing having two Marvels.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it'll be interesting to see a Marvel movie where I know absolutely nothing about the character, or a TV show. Is it a TV
Yeah.
show or is it a movie?
This is a TV show, eventually going to lead to
Gotcha.
movies as well. All I know is it is a Pakistani teenage girl in New Jersey.
she's got like
And
Mr. Fantastic type
I
powers,
don't believe
right?
she's like the first one to get powers, like the powers that she gets. I think there's been other ones prior. I don't know, or maybe I'm confusing that with Captain Marvel. Corey, you've played the video game and are familiar with the character. Can you?
With Captain Marvel,
No, with Ms. Marvel.
Miss Marvel. Yeah, so she's able. Do you guys remember Stretch Armstrong?
Yes.
Remember the toy, the
I
cartoon? Her powers are very similar to that. Like, she can get big, but she stretches her limbs. So she can make her hands bigger. She can make her hands smaller. She can, dodge by like moving her limbs, like Stretch Armstrong.
So she's
does,
Mr.
or-
Fantastic.
Kind of, yeah. And she can swing. I guess like she kind of swings like Spider-Man, but without the webs. She's just able to stretch her arms out.
So she's Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah. Is she filled like?
They should name
with
her Ms.
goo?
Fantastic.
She's way more interesting though than Mr. Fantastic.
Oh, she's got to have the
I
goo. Got to have the goo.
Like,
in the,
you ever
Stretch
break open a
Armstrong.
Stretch Armstrong? Yeah, that was.
think.
That's not a good time. Probably
It's fun
gonna
to
get sick
do
in
it.
my later years
It's fun to
'cause of
break
that.
it, but then it's not fun once it's open.
Yeah, I can't imagine that was ever made to be played with. Whatever's inside a Stretch
Yeah,
Armstrong.
I remember like using a lighter and burning mine open. I remember doing that.
I feel really bad for your Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah, you guys are like serial killers. You Stretch Armstrongs. I think mine
Yeah,
just
I
like
guess.
survived.
I only talked other people into killing theirs. Mine is still intact. somewhere.
You were just grooming other people to become serial killers.
I respect my toys. I make other people do my dirty work.
You are not Sid in Toy Story.
No, I'm not.
But yeah, I mean, she's she's a really interesting character, and I think that if they do it the way that they should, like from the comics, she will definitely be like a fan favorite character. Definitely, like she's just very likable. So
Well,
we'll see who they
I have to
who they
imagine that
cast.
casting announcement will come fairly soon,
Yeah, I think
since
so.
Tatiana Maslany announcement came about maybe a week or less than 2 weeks after the announcement for like the showrunner came out.
Mhm.
And these have no confirmed air dates or anything like that, right?
I would have
Or-
to imagine 2022
Yeah.
and 2021 we'll get Falcon the Winter Soldier, Loki, maybe Hawkeye,
Oh boy, Hawkeye.
which they haven't even announced who the co-lead in that is yet. So um, that's probably the last of those three that would come out. I think Loki and Falcon the Winter Soldier have already filmed to either a little bit or a ton in the case of Falcon
Yeah.
and Winter Soldier.
Mhm.
But yeah, we will report back on WandaVision later this year. Hopefully, we can endorse it.
Yeah. I'm hoping it's good because I need stuff to watch.
Disney
The
Plus
Mandalorian-
needs something else to put out there too after Mandalorian.
Yeah, expected to be released the week after Mandalorian season 2 ends.
What the hell are we gonna do for the rest of the year? Like once WandaVision comes out, is there gonna be like anything television wise?
No, I think television's paused after that. All right, welcome to Live Breathe Film. This is episode 16. You're here with Corey, Doug, JP, and Murph. Thanks as always for joining us. Our main topic today is the 1980s and the great memorable films of the decade that we couldn't get to in our yearly film series. If you have been listening to that, we've covered films from each year in the 80s, and now we'll just sort of recap today. However, before we get to that, let's run through some news and what we watched this past week. All right, so there was a bunch of announcements for the latest season of SNL, season 36, or sorry, 46. There's going to be 5 straight episodes starting the first Saturday in September. From there, the entire cast from season 45 is returning, along with Alec Baldwin as Donald Trump, Beck Bennett as Mike Pence, Maya Rudolph's going to be returning as Kamala Harris, and the big announcement is that Jim Carrey, the man, the myth, the legend, who SNL famously passed on in 1980, right after Lorne Michaels left the show, he will be joining the cast as a featured, well, he won't be in the opening credits as a featured player, but he will be playing Joe Biden throughout the entire election season. Do you think this is inspired casting? Would you hope Jason Sudeikis would have returned, or John Mulaney, or Woody Harrelson? All of them have played him over the past season. Sudeikis played him a lot in the Obama administration.
Yeah.
It's kind of a I don't know, for me it's kind of a shocking left field casting. I mean, I think he'll be good, but I wasn't expecting this at all. But I don't really keep up with SNL as much as you guys do.
No, I mean, I don't think anyone looks at Joe Biden or Jim Carrey and is like, Joe Biden is who he should be impersonating. Like,
It's strange to me.
it's definitely a weird one. It could turn out really well, or it could, like, I don't know. It's hard to see Jim Carrey in a role that's not manic and over the top, and that's not Joe Biden. So, I mean, Jim Carrey is definitely going to have to restrain himself to do.
Yes, he's not going to be able to be Jim Carrey,
which is going to be interesting. I thought Sudeikis has probably done the best job so far doing Biden, but I don't think he's so good that nobody else could take a stab at it. I just wouldn't have picked Jim Carrey.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I know. I've been hearing people online being like, "Oh, is he going to go full like Fire Marshal Bill as Joe Biden, like in regards to like how he looks and everything like that?" Um,
You could channel it, definitely.
I honestly have no idea.
Possible.
I know people are also kind of up in arms that they're going with a celebrity to have one of the biggest roles of the election season, which is when SNL gets its highest ratings ever, than having one of its current cast members play the role. Other than Beck Bennett playing Mike Pence, nobody on the cast actually plays like one of the big politicians through this season.
It makes you wonder if Jim Carrey like put on like a audition performance that Rick kind of killed it, and
He did well. It's good that you brought that up. He did not audition. He did come.
Okay.
He came to Lorne Michaels and said he wanted to play the role. So
all right.
Yeah, so it's like it sounds more like
something. He must have had something in mind that he wanted to do, because they didn't.
Lorne Michaels,
didn't come to him.
And I feel like at this point, if Lorne Michaels, regardless of who you are, if he's not on board with the idea, like he's just gonna say walk, right?
Yeah, but he may not have been on board. That like makes me even more skeptical because I could see them just saying like Jim Carrey is gonna make people watch. Like it doesn't matter how good he is or not good.
Yeah, it's a business ultimately, and like
it could go either
like
way.
I said, like the 5 weeks those 5 Saturdays leading up to the election are going to be the highest rated episodes of the year for them, and probably for 2021 as well. So it would be hard to say no to Jim Carrey. I mean, he's not the biggest movie star in the world anymore like he was. I mean, Sonic the Hedgehog was successful, but he's still Jim Carrey. Like, he has that history within Living Color. He's hosted the show a few times already. He was really good the last time he was on as a host. So, I don't know. It could go either way.
Yeah, I mean, it has me interested for sure.
Do you think we'll see any guest celebrity appearances like Will Ferrell coming back and doing Bush again? Do you think we'll see that?
Yeah, I think we'll see.
I
think we'll see some. I think we'll see Larry David as Bernie Sanders at some point. We'll likely see some other ones return. But
it's definitely exciting. I mean, I'll watch it for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting seeing them running on fumes by the end of these 5 weeks. They've never done 5 episodes in a row. They've only done 4 in a row, I think, once or twice, and it was only in the past couple years. So it's going to. I can only imagine how brutal it's going to be in those writers' rooms and everything like that by November. As for an update on the box office, so we won't really focus on Tenet this week. We've at this point we kind of know that it's not doing that great, but we did have a big update in the fact that the biggest movie of the year is no longer Bad Boys for Life. It has been topped by the Chinese war epic The 800. Which is predominantly made all its money in China, and it is now the biggest movie in the world. It is a little over 400 million at this point in time. I doubt it makes too much more at this point, but pending a few releases like No Time to Die, Wonder Woman, looks like the biggest movie of the year will be, for the first time ever, not a film released by Hollywood, which would be pretty insane.
I keep hearing about this movie. I'm like curious to see what it's all about. I mean, it's not even out at all here, right?
I think it's in like limited digital. Select IMAX screenings, or maybe not IMAX because Tenet has a stranglehold on that, but because this was shot in IMAX also.
Okay.
So maybe it might actually have some IMAX screenings in America.
Yeah, I mean, it had a fairly big budget too.
Yeah.
Do we know the reason for? Do we know whether or not they're getting I'm assuming they're getting a better advantage in China than the American movies are.
Oh, I'll bet.
100%. Yeah, Chinese-made movies definitely get to stay in theaters longer. Like we had talked about last week, you need to make your money fast when playing in China as like an American film. Like I think Mulan dropped 80 something % for weekend 2.
Wow.
Oh my god.
So if you don't have a huge opening weekend, you're pretty much fucked.
And that's not.
Now is that just because they start just removing you from theaters at that point?
They only have so many options because they have all their homegrown films there, and then we're also throwing all our films over there as well. So screens are more limited. But I mean, China could be a massive player this year when Avatar 2 Avatar gets re-released later this year. It could end up bumping back up to the #1 movie of all time.
Wow.
Doug,
Where it belongs.
I don't think it needs more. I think it needs maybe $10 million from a re-release in order to top end game.
Not a lot.
I think the question
Easily do that.
I think a big question is, I'm going to Disney this weekend. How many times am I going to go on the Avatar ride?
At least a dozen.
I mean,
There's no line. There's
wait
going to be no
times,
stopping you.
You're going to be able to go on it a lot of times.
Yeah.
Just make sure not to like shriek like a girl or anything, because then you might get COVID.
It's going to be glorious. Hanging out with
Don't
James
cough,
Cameron
they'll kick you out.
in Pandora.
Doug's gonna get right up to the front of the line for the first time, let out a cough, and they're just gonna exile him from the from Disney for life. No more Avatar world for you.
He tries to show up to the Magic Kingdom 5 years from now. They have a picture of him.
Sorry.
Banned for
Sorry.
life.
Sorry, sir. You coughed during the pandemic. Gonna have to ask you to leave forever.
They escort you out through the hidden tunnels. You never see Doug again. It's thrown in the marshes.
I am jealous that you'll be there, but you'll have to give us the scoop on how things go. You're only going to a couple of the parks, right? You going to Star Wars?
I'm going to try, yeah.
Ooh,
You
you're
might
going
as
to get to
well
go
at
on
this
Rise
point.
of the Resistance.
I'm going to try, yeah. If not, I can do the haunted
Ooh, Haunted Mansion.
mansion
Twilight Zone, Tower of Terror.
and Tower
That's
of
awesome.
Terror and live it up.
All right. Well,
Toy Story.
lucky you. It's one of the times that I'm jealous that you live in Florida.
What are the other times?
I think that was about it. Maybe when it's really, really cold here. And
When it's
Yeah, I
like
guess
snowing, I
that's-
guess.
probably.
Yeah.
that's about it.
It's like 70 degrees in
But
Florida.
like
and then,
once it's spring here, no, not jealous. Because it's
Yeah.
like 90 degrees of humidity down by him.
Damn right.
All right, and then finally with news, last night we had the 2020 Emmy Awards. They were strange to say the least because it took place with no audience present. What they did was Jimmy Kimmel hosted. They had a few celebrities come by for some, like as presenters, but the winners were all in their homes. They all had cameras in their houses, and if they won, like an Emmy driver would like come by and like knock on their door and like give them an Emmy, and if they
That's
didn't win,
weird.
the driver would drive away.
When you lose, he ding dong ditches you and just pieces out.
The star of the TV show, Rami, he posted on Twitter a guy in a hazmat suit with it, like an Emmy guy in a hazmat suit, going away with his Emmy, like waving goodbye. So that was pretty
That's
hilarious.
really funny.
Yeah, that's a funny way to do it, for sure.
But it was interesting seeing the first real award show of the year since this whole thing started. We had obviously talked about the nominations when they first happened, what we were upset was snub, things like that. But as far as winners, I thought they did a pretty damn good job. The only thing I was not really happy with was the drama category, because I don't watch Succession. I don't think any of you guys watch it either.
No.
No.
Nope.
But
It's on the list.
Is it, though?
It's on the ever expanding list. I feel like it's probably up your alley, Doug. But Watchmen did kill it, as expected, in like the limited series category. It won for. I was telling JP about this the other night. It won for its score. So Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, they are now
Well deserved.
one away from an EGOT. Damon Lindelof and one of his co-writers won Best Writer. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II won Best Supporting Actor for Dr. Manhattan. Regina King won for Best Actress. So it was a solid showing all around for that, which I think we all pretty much expected.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it was a great
definitely-
show.
If not the best show of the year, only one of.
I haven't seen it yet. I gotta get on that.
Yeah,
You'll definitely like it, I think.
definitely better
Yes.
than the movie. The fact that they went the original route and versus just adapting the comic was so much better. But yeah, the biggest, well, somewhat of a surprise, was the fact that for the first time ever, one show completely swept its category. Schitt's Creek won Best Comedy, Best Writing for a Comedy, Directing for a Comedy, and it won all 4 acting awards.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, so both Eugene and Dan Levy won Actor and Supporting Actor, and Catherine O'Hara and Annie Murphy won Actress and Supporting Actress. First time Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara has ever won an acting award at the Emmys, so that was really cool. I think both of them, or at least just Eugene Levy, won like a writing award back in like the early 80s for SCTV. But it was really cool getting to see those two legends finally get due for a long, great career. But
And you're a big fan of Schitt's Creek, right?
yeah, no, it was something I watched throughout the pandemic, and I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. It really was like
Yeah, I remember you talking
it
about
was like the
I
perfect
still gotta
storm
check it
for
out.
why it won everything. I mean, nobody really. It was. I had mentioned this when the nominations came out that I felt like this could be a show like Breaking Bad that just like for its last season just wins a ton of awards. But this one was even different than Breaking Bad since it was never even nominated for anything, let alone win anything, until its second to last season, and then its final season where it finally won. Like Breaking Bad always had Bryan Cranston winning stuff, Aaron Paul winning stuff, but this one was discovered late. It was like the little show that could from Canada, and fucking absolutely dominated to the likes that TV Emmys have never seen in 70 plus years. So I definitely recommend it. Doug, did you say you started it at one point, or
I watched the
Or
first
someone else.
episode I watched the first episode and it didn't hook me, and so I didn't watch anything else. I didn't watch any other episodes. But that's not really like I didn't give it a fair shot because one episode isn't really fair for comedies. You really
I've
have to.
seen the vast majority of it secondhand. It's funny. I'm not like itching to watch the rest of the episodes I haven't seen, but yeah, it's funny.
yeah, I think it was like the positive show that came right during the March and April of the pandemic when everyone was stuck at home. Everyone probably caught up to the entire show, and it basically won for the entire show versus just the final season. So it had a little bit of an advantage in that way. Was there anything that you guys heard about or saw that you were either happy about or you thought kind of got snubbed?
I mean, I'm not going to go on my Better Call Saul rant again because they obviously got stubbed and it sucks. But
Yeah, they don't give a shit about Breaking Bad anymore, unfortunately. El Camino couldn't even win in like movie categories.
yeah,
Man, honestly though, I don't think it deserved to.
You do bring up a good point because I think the one that won was way better than El Camino.
Yeah. I don't know which one won. I just know that El Camino was kind of a little disappointing. It just seemed like full fan service and not really like out of this world amazing feature.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair to put El Camino and Better Call Saul in the same bucket. Although they are from the same universe, and I get why you did that. But Better Call Saul is just such a damn good show that just pisses me off that they didn't really have a presence in the Emmys. Although, what's this? They won for a short form comedy.
They won for
Is that
short
the
form
online
comedy or drama series. Yep, it's an online like web series for employee training, legal ethics with Kim Wexler. So
Oh, wow.
that was the closest.
Hey, she got
Kim
her
Wexler
Emmy.
got to get her Emmy.
That
Shut
better
it
not
down,
count.
boys. We've won.
Not counting that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that though. Have you? Has anybody on here seen it?
I always get tricked, and when I'm watching it
No.
on
Yeah, I have not seen it.
It's probably pretty funny. I
I would imagine it's amusing if they wrote it. I mean, Better Call Saul is hilarious.
yeah, and it's legal ethics.
It's
yeah,
right
it's
up your
right
alley.
up
You
your
gotta
alley,
watch it.
dude.
You and
Yeah,
Julia
don't
can
eat
watch
it
it
up.
and report back to us.
Yeah, I'll let you know if I feel like I should have gotten like a continuing legal education for it, or if it was. I'll apply for the
You get
Florida bar.
disbarred if you don't watch it.
Oh man.
But yeah, other than that, Eddie Murphy won his first Emmy. 40 years after being nominated as a cast member on SNL for when he hosted it this past December. So that was pretty cool to see.
He killed it, I thought, when he hosted.
Yeah, he had the best episode of the season. So it was cool to see him actually be rewarded for that. Dave Chappelle won for his Sticks and Stones Netflix special from last year, which was a pretty good one. Last Week Tonight continued its absolute domination of winning talk show every single year. I think it's like 6 years running now. Yeah, overall, I was happy with what won. A lot of the times I'm not. So in that regard, it was good. But we will see how the next big award show is like the Golden Globes, and we got like the Grammys and Academy Awards and stuff like that in December and early next, or I guess they're all pushed to early next year now. So it'll be interesting to see if we can have audiences at that point, or if those ones are still online. If fucking Lady Gaga or some shit is performing in her house for the
But
Grammys.
she's got a really nice studio.
Yeah, they probably all have very nice houses.
I mean, if we don't have audiences yet, I would hope that they're delivering the statues in hazmat suits again, or at least showing up to everyone's house.
Yeah, just waving goodbye if they don't win.
I think that should be a thing that they should always do.
I want flaming bags put on their doorstep and ringing bells if they don't win. 100%.
Have Adam Sandler do it.
Give that to me, please.
Did the Emmys have like the canned crowd noise like the football? Like football, I didn't watch the Emmys.
God.
They did not have the canned crowd noise.
It was just like silence.
Yes, it was just silence. The only ones that went crazy, like for wins, were the Schitt's Creek group because they were all together up in Canada. So like they had a ballroom rented out, so they were all there. So it was good that they won a ton of them since there was actually some reactions. And then when Zendaya won, she like had her whole family there, and they were all going crazy. So that one was pretty cool too. The rest of them, it was just all like they were
Crickets.
sitting alone, or they would have like their spouse sitting next to them. Mark Ruffalo gave like a 5-minute speech, and like his wife was sitting next to him, like crying and raising her fist. It was interesting, but no, they thankfully didn't throw in applause or fake standing ovations or anything like that.
I mean, I think with like football, you like it'd be so weird without the crowd noise. So I was just curious how the Emmys was.
I like how last night during the Seattle Patriots game, they talked about how they could only get their crowd noise up to a certain decibel level, and it was like still it was high, but substantially lower than what like an actual the 12th man can do.
Well, that's because they have people screaming on top of all the pumped-in crowd noise that they usually pump in that stadium.
Yeah, exactly. They have both. But yeah,
cheaters.
Fucking this year, sports, everything, just it's strange.
Well, you hear a lot more swear words, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
listen closely.
Censors are probably like, "Oh crap!"
Yeah, you hear them screaming,
making them work now.
Well, not a bad thing. All right, we can move on though to what we watched over this past week. Though we'll get into our individual picks, and then we'll talk about episode 5 of The Boys season 2. Yeah, Corey, looks like you're fully in spooky season, so you want to get your picks?
Yeah, so I finally, hopefully this continues because it's been a long time coming. I finally saw the sequel to Insidious. I don't know if you guys have seen the original. I know Murph has.
I have not.
But
so you've never
you
thought wrong.
Oh wow, I thought you saw it. All right, well, so the Insidious movies, from what I understand, I've only seen, like I said, the first 2. Follows it's a James Wan film, James Wan joint, another horror film like The Conjuring. And it follows a family, and instead of a house being haunted, child is more or less possessed in the household. It's definitely a really inventive film. The sequel, without spoiling anything, it definitely takes it in a different direction. Patrick Wilson and Rose Byrne are in it. Patrick Wilson is like James Wan's like best bud. I feel like he's in all of his movies. And they both do an awesome job. I feel like it's probably one of the best series, horror series, in a long time. I mean, from what I understand, the 3rd and 4th one keep getting better. So I'll definitely let you guys know because I'm definitely going to watch them really soon. But as far as the sequel goes, it definitely takes it in a somewhat interesting direction with the monsters that are in it, the type of horror that they do in the sequel. So if you guys are interested, I definitely would watch them for sure.
Yeah, no, the first one's on my Netflix watch list. I added it last week or 2 weeks ago when we were talking about another movie, Poltergeist, I think.
The one thing that surprised me is, I mean, if you watch horror movies, you usually the series that usually happen. Usually the sequels are not very good. They're usually first one's amazing, and then the sequels like fall off completely with quality. And it seems like these get better as they go on. I don't know if James Wan directs the 3rd and the 4th one. Probably not.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, but I mean, you have Lee Whannell involved, who wrote and directed Invisible Man, I believe. Mm-hmm. Wasn't he involved in Saw as well?
Yeah, he wrote it.
Yeah, so it's got a really good core, creative group behind it, and I'm pretty sure that they're involved in all of the movies to some extent. So from what I read online, people really like the other ones, so it's kind of unique in that way. But yeah, definitely check it out. I think I watched it on Netflix, I think. So definitely check it out.
All right. Doug, how about you? What'd you watch?
I watched the new show called The Vow on HBO. It follows the Nexium cult thing that was going on as of a couple of years ago. It got shut down. It was in the news. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with it at all.
I take Nexium for my heartburn. But I never joined the cult.
Never heard of it?
No.
So basically it's these it starts off like these people getting involved in the cult, and they, it's how most cults start off, where it's like kind of like a self-help. It's got all these programs supposed to make your life better. People are sad. They offer solutions. There's this guy, Keith Raniere, who's kind of like the sage. They call him Vanguard. You get a little sash that you get to put over your neck that's like really, really short. And it's in different colors. And like you start off with one color. That's like karate or taekwondo, where you like work your way up to other colors. There's like a coach level. You get stripes on your sash. So these sashes are really important, really goofy looking, but I don't know. I think everything always works well, and you always get people involved when there's like you can level up and get a cooler sash.
Hell yeah, dude!
And so that's how this cult kind of works. Is you're always looking for that next step, getting that next stripe on your sash or next color of your sash. So these people are involved, really enjoying it, and they get wind of, I guess, this like secret inner circle of the cult where it's only women that are invited, and it's called, I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically like slave master scenario where these women are like, there's one woman that's the master, and then she's got like a pod of slaves basically. And in order to join this part of the cult, they have to give like collateral to know, so that they know that you'll keep the secret. And so what they have to give like naked photos of themselves, all sorts of like discriminating shit. I think one person said they wanted like the deed to their house to just kind of hold as collateral.
Sounds trippy.
Yeah, but they've joined the cult. One of the craziest parts about it, and the part that was in the news, is once you're part of this cult, they like blindfold you, take you to the spot, and then they're like, all right, cool, it's time to brand you. And they have these women there, and they're naked, and they're like, we've got this cool symbol for you. It's like a mountain, and there's like these other symbols, and it means all these cool things. And so we're all going to do this together. We're all going to get branded. And so they brand them. And it turns out that when you look at it the right way, it's the cult leader's symbols, or like his initials of his name. So his name's Keith Raniere, and so it's KR. And it's like right next to, it's like right in their pubic area. And it's just like fucking crazy. So I'm on episode 4 of that. It was really popular because that chick from Smallville, Allison Mack, she was a part of it, and she like kind of she brought a lot of women into this like cult, and she was like, outside of this Keith Raniere guy, she was like the highest master of all like the women slaves.
Was talking about this one yesterday when we were at the bar.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Is this based on a true story?
Is it a documentary, or are there actors involved?
It's a documentary. I don't know. I was trying to figure out myself because the way they're showing it, it looks like they're on the hunt to take down this cult, and I'm like, are they? It's definitely the people that were involved, but I can't tell if they're like reenacting what had already happened, or if like they just had a camera and they filmed it as it happened. I was actually trying to figure that out yesterday and wasn't able to tell.
That's interesting.
But it's cool. Yeah, this actually happened, Corey. It happened. It was in the news like a year or two ago. That Keith Raniere went to jail. Or no, he didn't go to jail yet, but he got convicted of, I think, everything they were prosecuting him for. And then I think Allison Mack is probably going to get some jail time, and it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's something else.
And I'm assuming this is a limited series.
Yeah, it's
Let's fucking hope so.
Keith Raniere strikes again, season 2.
He's gonna escape for season 2.
He's got his brand ready. No, this is it's definitely an interesting watch. They release it weekly, so I've only made it to episode 4 because that's the latest that they've released. I think it's supposed to be 8 or 9 episodes, and it's available on HBO. So I'm watching on HBO Max, but you don't need Max to watch it.
Well, all right. That one sounds interesting. Fucked up, too.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked up.
It's on a short list of stuff I gotta watch.
JP, you finally have watched
Palm
Springs.
caught up to the herd. Yeah.
All 4 of us have now watched it over this past summer. How would you think?
Yeah, I thought everything you guys said about it was pretty spot on. It's a great movie. It's a lot of fun to watch. It's definitely like a little bit more twisted Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
I love J.K. Simmons in it. He's such a good character.
He's a psychopath. But yeah.
I was able to stomach Andy Samberg for a whole movie, which is surprising.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit impressed about that.
Yeah. I liked all the characters involved. I liked all the acting, and it was really good. We just finished watching it, and I saw some article because my phone listens to me and knows everything I do. Popped up and was talking about the controversial ending to the movie, how it isn't clear. And I said, it was pretty damn clear what happens.
How is it controversial?
I don't know, because they said that they didn't, it leaves it open to interpretation what happened. I said,
it's neither controversial, nor is it not clear.
It really didn't. So whoever wrote that article, fuck you. It's just clickbait horseshit.
I never thought about that.
It was very enjoyable. I could probably see myself watching it again sometime in the future.
Yeah, it held up the second time I watched it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, wacky antics in it. It's probably more of a reasonable, I guess, telling of what you would do if you got stuck in an infinite time loop. But he lucked out, man, because if you're going to get stuck in an infinite time loop of one day, a wedding is a great place to get stuck in. There's free food, there's free drinks, there's tons of people to fuck with. It probably doesn't, like, I'd rather get stuck there than in Puxatawney, Pennsylvania during a snowstorm.
Yeah, that would be terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But overall, it's a great movie. It's a good, they took the Groundhog's Day, shtick, and they made it a little more lively for modern day.
Now we just got to get you to watch the Happy Death Day films, and then you'll be all caught up on your time loops.
It's getting progressively spookier outside, so maybe I'll do that.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Have you seen Russian Doll, JP?
I have not.
Add that to the list too.
Okay. Is it spooky?
No,
it's not spooky, but it's a cool time loop movie or TV show. Or limited series? Is there a season 2 to that? Or
there's gonna be a season 2.
Okay.
Is that the girl from American Pie?
Yep.
Oh boy.
Tasha Leone.
Oh, lovely.
She's good in it.
At least it's good to hear. Glad she's doing all right.
Yeah.
She wasn't for a long time.
Yes, she wasn't. Her career turned around, which was nice to see.
Yeah.
You've seen Edge of Tomorrow.
I have.
You've seen
that's a fun movie.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing. Like, it's a wild concept, and all these time loop movies, TV shows have all worked out. It's like batting 1,000, which is pretty crazy to think of that would be possible.
I think it's a lot easier to do than time travel, just because it's pretty set in its ways, except for getting out.
Less rules, yeah.
Although they all put their own spin on it.
Yeah, there's always some mysticism involved. The aliens, a weird cave.
Yeah.
Fucking groundhog.
Yeah, I'd say Russian Doll probably has the most out there, like, sort of viewpoint into the whole time loop type of thing.
Oh, you don't say.
So,
is Butterfly Effect considered a time loop film? Not really.
No, he time travels.
That's more time travel.
Yeah,
is it more
time travel?
I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
The movie's also very messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, the director.
Last time I saw it was with you, Doug.
The director's cut is like way darker than the movie version, which is what I saw first at home, and I was just like, "Oh my god, this is depressing." And then I saw like the regular theater ending, and I was
like that '70s show.
But he's so airy and funny.
I just expected him to find his car, and then he ends up chewing the umbilical cord.
He didn't say "dude" once.
Yeah.
Not once.
He doesn't chew it. He
he
makes it a noose around his head and
pretty.
strangles himself.
I don't know how his baby
Good
self
Lord.
is capable of doing that, but
It's Ashton Kutcher.
I think they went in
do
the right direction with the ending that they ultimately did in theaters, where it
Yeah.
inspired a little bit of hope, and ultimately everything worked out for both Ashton
Ashton?
Kutcher and Amy Smart.
It just goes to show you, man, if you get stuck back in time, kill every butterfly so they can't flap their wings
JP,
and ruin your
I
life.
keep asking if you've seen these things, but have you seen this one, Butterfly Effect?
I have seen bits of it, and I
was gonna say, I
I
feel
like
you
morbid shit.
You would just go into a depression watching this movie.
Yeah, I like to be happy.
It's so fucking miserable.
It's not
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah,
My mood
I will-
requires constant tending to, so watching 2 hours of depressing shit doesn't really. It's not good for me.
No, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't think it's good for anyone.
I think Doug was the first one who showed it to me.
I like that movie a lot. But you guys all need to watch Dark.
I did watch 7 seasons of fucking Nip Tuck.
Yeah, what the
So-
hell's wrong
That
with
show
you?
is
Yeah, that sounds horrible.
depressing.
Did you actually get to the
Dude.
series finale, or did you give up,
I
3
never
episodes?
finished it, and I honestly
You did.
don't want to go back.
Yeah,
and
you
try.
gave up 3 episodes before the end.
Something like that.
You did that
I never
with the
finished
Parks
it
and
either.
Rec and The Office too.
Yeah, I mean, when you start throwing out garbage seasons, I don't want to finish the show.
That's fair.
Parks and Rec was some of the worst seasons on Earth towards the end, at least in my opinion.
Its last season was its worst season.
Yeah,
Other than the first season.
I'm deep into the shit in The Office now.
and
By the way,
you don't want to lose the Nip Tuck game, so
You got to see Dr. Doom performing plastic surgery.
he performs a lot of other things too that I don't want to see him performing in that show.
That's true. I've seen him.
Yeah,
All right. Well, we've went way off topic.
As
So
usual.
yeah, Palm Springs. Watch it on Hulu.
yeah, good movie.
All right, and then what I watched over the past week was something that JP had recommended earlier on this summer. It's something that Corey's also in the middle of watching, and it is FX's What We Do in the Shadows. I banged out both of the seasons in, I guess, 6 days, 5 days, something like that. It was something I knew I was in love with by the time the opening credits on the first episode rolled, which was similar to Schitt's Creek. So I don't know if you're gonna. So Doug, we're gonna definitely want to talk about your feelings on What We Do in the Shadows, since Doug watched it and just has avoided all our conversations because
Fuck?
he has a contrarian opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to hear his contrarian opinion.
But before we get to that, for anyone not familiar, just a refresher, it is a show where 4 vampires live together in a house in Staten Island in current day. Some of them have been together for as far long as the 1400s, around there, since the Crusades. 2 of them are married. One of them is not a traditional vampire, but an energy vampire who just sucks the energy from being boring to people.
Yeah.
So you likely worked with some energy vampires at work.
Yup.
And every time you get it's 5 o'clock somewhere, or a case of the
Making
Mondays,
copies.
yeah, then you have an energy vampire on your hands. But yeah, it follows them, the 4 of them, and one of their familiars, which is basically their slave, who hopes
Voluntary slave.
voluntary slave, yeah, who hopes he one day will become a vampire himself. It is absolutely fucking hilarious. It was a show that was nominated for a lot of Emmys. One of the categories, best writing in a comedy, it had 3 of the slots itself.
Yeah.
So that was pretty impressive. I wasn't familiar with many of the actors prior. The only one that I was the one who plays the energy vampire, Colin Robinson. That's the character's name, Colin Robinson. You basically have to say his full name. Just sounds right. But he was on Better Call Saul for the first few seasons prior. Oh,
Who the fuck was he?
JP's like, really?
Well, he was on The Office too.
He was
yes,
that
he
like
on The Office
card
also.
collector guy.
Really?
Yeah. He was the one that.
Oh shit! Okay, it was the one that Mike did the security for.
Yeah. So Mike
That makes a lot
interacted
of
with him.
sense now.
Nacho interacted with him. Saul interacted with him, or Jimmy.
So pretty much, he's the main character of all Breaking Bad.
Oh yeah, he's
Okay.
the whole reason the show ever happened.
Yeah. Wow, I forgot about that.
So everyone has watched.
Everyone has watched
the-
What We Do in the Shadows. Doug, I don't know
Okay.
how far did you get?
Halfway through season 1.
The kid got halfway through season 1.
Wow.
Probably
Ooh.
further than halfway. Probably like closer to completing the season. It's not for me.
I might have to mute him during this.
I watched it like a year ago, maybe longer, and I thought I would really like it because it's Taika's concept. I love Taika Waititi's humor. It's vampires. It looked funny. It's just a little too ridiculous for me.
And it only gets more ridiculous. Season 2,
Yeah.
I mean, every episode just has a clever concept to it. But they're all so ridiculous. Like, one of them will deal with ghosts. One of them will deal with witches. Fucking werewolves, zombies.
Yeah.
Fucking
The
Jackie
season 2
Daytona.
Jackie
The
Daytona.
season 2 opener, like I was on the floor most of that episode, like the first episode of season 2. It was just like so funny.
I was too. I was
It had a
sleeping.
good Haley Joel Osment
Yep.
performance.
Topher.
He was fantastic in that episode.
Yeah, I think how many episodes are in the second season? So I'm
10.
on, I think. Okay, so I'm almost halfway. I'm on episode 4.
Yeah, it gets better as it goes along. Doug, did you make it to the episode that included Wesley Snipes and Tilda Swinton,
Paul
Evan Rachel
Rubens.
Wood, Paul Rubens, Taika Waititi,
No.
Jermaine Clement? All right, so that was the 7th episode of the first season. So you probably made it to 5 or 6.
Yeah, I definitely made it like far enough.
You gave
where I
up
was like,
one episode before you would have been like hooked.
Yeah.
Doug, I'm disappointed in you.
It's just not for me.
Because really, that 7th episode is really what sets up a lot of everything through season 2. That whole tribunal where they're going to be executed.
Yeah, it just sort of like in the beginning, it's kind of going off on a bunch of random tangents, and that episode really just sort of solidifies and gives you like a core plot almost, which I mean doesn't stop them from going off on a random tangent every single episode from then on, but at least there's some consistency to it.
Like this is the type of show where they get excited to go to a Super Bowl party because they think it's the superb owl party.
Yeah,
where they will get to see this magnificent owl that they've always wanted to see. It's ridiculous. It's so funny.
Yeah, and some people don't like things that are that ridiculous, and I don't recommend that they watch this show.
yeah, and some people don't like fun.
Fucking you, Doug. Pretend he never said that. Corey, you can edit him out.
I'm gonna kick him out of here.
Who the fuck's Doug? Why do we keep talking about Doug?
And it is now.
Yeah.
We are now.
Live through throughout this film. It's always been 3 people.
I just edit Doug out of every episode.
It's 3 words. Why wouldn't there only be 3 hosts?
We're gonna do a Doug impression and have him be a big fan of What We Do in the Shadows, and we're just gonna plop in his praise for the show sporadically.
It's like our episode special editions.
Yeah. But yeah, season 3 will be out next year, likely later in the year because of COVID, but catch up on FX on Hulu. If you have a sense of humor, you'll enjoy it.
Yeah. If you like fun stuff.
Not great.
Those like I hate you fucking people. I guess your humor left when you moved down to Florida. Maybe that's was it. Now you're watching like sick, twisted shows on HBO. And
I like funny shows,
the light has left you.
Like The Office,
find your inner child.
They're in an office. There's like some sort of grounding there, versus like
Staten Island.
fanciful like adventures of these
You
vampires.
like time travel movies, and you're talking about being grounded?
There's some sort of grounding. Wasn't there like
Doug, it's a comedy.
You're lost.
that show's lost?
You're a lost soul, Doug.
All right.
We could take a poll how wrong Doug is on social about what we do in the shadows.
Well,
Well, now you guys know when I'm not talking about a show and you guys are all talking about it, I've probably seen it, and I'm just not breaking it to you guys.
So, did you really watch all of Perry Mason then? You just didn't like it?
that's
No.
believable.
I haven't, but
Doug's like,
I
as
do
a
want to
lawyer,
watch it.
I didn't
It's
think
not
it was
grounded in
I didn't think
reality.
it was grounded in reality, so I give it a thumbs down.
Ooh.
But yeah, as much as we can rip on Doug for this, let's move on to the boys. Corey, you have once again fallen another week behind in the
You
boys.
failed this city.
It's okay. I love binging, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna.
Just waiting for you to start binging it, though.
Corey, when are you going to
I'm
binge
just-
Better Call Saul? Are you just waiting for the show to end?
I'm waiting for the right time.
All right. So, well, hopefully Corey can join us in these conversations at some point before the end of the season. For now, if you want to mute yourself, I imagine we will touch on some spoilers. Or not mute yourself, but just fucking throw your headphones somewhere. Let's talk The Boys, episode 5.
Yeah.
So
I hate Stormfront.
yeah,
So
my
much.
first thing was going to be Stormfront.
I hate her. She's the worst. Actually, the worst character ever. I thought everyone was going to gang up and kill her in episode 5, and then we just go on to bigger and better things. But no, it's got to be super evil and shit.
Homelander has sex with her.
Yep, some really creepy, funky, weird sex where he burns her tits.
Yes, and then throws her around well, they both throw each other around.
Yeah,
I mean, that was all to just show that she's super powerful.
Fucked up.
Homelander's gonna have a hard time beating her
That's
because
true.
she's like just as strong. Like he can laser her, and she's like, "Oh, that feels good." Like laser my tits. Like that's not. That's like his move. Like that's Homelander's big move is to just like laser people.
Yeah.
So like he's gonna have a hard time like kicking the shit out of her when he's trying to take her down and she's having an orgasm while he's trying to laser her.
That makes me sad because I want her to die. I like the backstory that they have with her, that she's supposedly 70 years old and she was another evil racist superhero. So she just kind of changes with the times and finds like the most destructive persona to inhabit.
And in 2020, it's being a fucking meme generator.
Yeah, being a fucking hipster meme generator. Man. Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
I mean, it is pretty funny for sure.
Who do you guys think is most likely to go Team Boys versus Soups next? Like
Maves.
A-Train,
I think A-Train's
Um,
coming, yeah.
the Deep,
Maeve.
I
I think
think
Maeve's
the Deep
definitely
is...
switching sides.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you definitely right there.
They
I
had
think
her
the
with
Deep is
the-
just going to do his own thing.
Her lines in that movie. That movie, first off, was so fucking funny. The Seven movie.
It poked fun both at Batman vs Superman and Infinity War or Endgame. They had the
Yeah.
woman scene.
Yeah, they had that scene where all the
Oh,
girls
yeah.
show up and they're like,
Yeah.
girls, get it done.
or Girls Get It On, according to Homelander.
Yeah, girls get
Oh, man. There were so many good things in that movie. Stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like the mention of Joss doing rewrites.
Yeah, Homelander was a big fan.
Oh man, yeah, that was really funny. The whole movie thing is hilarious, and then you got the cult stuff going on with the Deep. I'm excited to see how the Church of the Collective pans out for him.
They did like a Tom Cruise thing with him.
Yeah, it really feels like Scientology.
He was with what was
really
it, Kitty
does.
Couric?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
They had
Talking about how happy he was.
Similar to like the Oprah type thing. Do you think the show is ultimately going in at everyone against Homelander by the time it wraps up?
I would imagine they have to because
How else
he'd
do
be
you
really difficult to
defeat him?
kill. Yeah.
I don't.
Or him and Stormfront versus pretty much the world.
Because
I'm wondering.
right now, the only person that I don't see going to the good guys is Black Noir. But I mean, nobody knows what his motivations are, so that could
He's
change
so
at
weird.
any point,
He
you
was
know?
so ridiculous in this. He's just like on the roof the entire time, just like hanging there.
Was this episode the one where he goes to the woman in the building and just has the paper that says butcher on it, and then sits next to her and watches her work until she finds
no,
him?
that
Or
was-
That was the episode
before.
prior.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
She's like, okay, I guess I will do this right now, and you will be here with me.
Yeah, I don't quite get Black Noir. I guess his power is that he just doesn't get hurt, and he's super stealthy and
He
throws
can
knives and shit.
Run faster than a car.
Apparently, that would have been fun to see. I was really worried there for a second that they were going to kill his aunt, Butcher's aunt, and the dog, and that would have bothered me a lot. But yeah, just call off Black Noir, and you got Giancarlo Esposito just pulling the strings there. Has he
Gus
ever
Fring
played someone
pulling
that's
the strings?
Has he ever played someone that's nice? I bet he's a real nice guy in real life.
He seems like the nicest guy in real life, but
he's a scary fucking guy on the screen.
His voice
they throw him
is
as a
like-
villain and everything.
I've seen him in interviews, and I'm like, that's not his voice.
He's so like lively, and
Yeah,
it's hilarious the difference between his persona on television and how he is in real life.
If he's my dad and I'm like 16, 17, 18 seeing all this shit, I don't know if I ever want to be alone with my father. Just because
Hide the
I've
box
seen you
cutter.
say some pretty fucked up things, Dad, on the TV, and I don't want to be here right now.
Yeah, his father-son talks. He just has a box cutter sitting on like the desk during the conversation. It's like, oh god, no! Don't
That's
do anything
scary.
stupid.
He's gonna stick Black Noir on you. When Homelander laser beamed the crowd, I was actually kind of cheering. I wanted them to get laser beamed, so maybe I'm going over towards the Homelander side a little bit.
it's JP and Homelander against all the boys and everybody
Yeah.
else.
It might be, although I really do like the boys. But yeah, I was just like, those protesters are fucking annoying, and they're all agitated from Stormfront's bullshit. I feel like they're just as complicit. And they get laser beamed.
They deserve
I'm
to
not
be
blinking
laser
my eyes.
beamed.
They might. They truly might.
I did think that was real, though. I was like, holy shit.
I did too.
I
I
did
was
not
like,
expect them to go this far this quickly.
yeah, I was
But
like,
the fact,
eh.
the fact that it's a boys, like I believe they would. Which
Oh,
is
for
pretty
sure.
impressive.
Yeah.
And
I mean, he's done it a couple times. I mean, the airplane scene alone was one of those moments where you just think he's not actually doing this, but no, he's actually doing this.
yeah.
Yeah. I think when we're talking about like where's it gonna go, I almost think that there's almost gonna be like an offshoot of the Seven is where I would think it's going. Because it looks like Stormfront's got something going on with Lamplighter
Yes.
where she's
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
so she may be forming her own group.
Like the League of Evil.
Yeah, like an evil Seven, even though the Seven weren't that great to begin with.
No, but they were still doing good. But
Sort of.
that would be really interesting to see, though. Like an actual, no one's really done it in any superhero movies or anything like that. You don't have, the League of Doom in DC, or Marvel's is probably like the group of evil men or some shit like that because they're not great at naming stuff.
Well, Spider-Man, they tried to do the Sinister Six. And
It's true.
kinda
But they
fell
never
apart.
got to it. They never got that done. It'd be kind of fun to see, like maybe the world gets ruled by these evil superheroes led by fucking stupid Stormfront.
Yeah,
JP,
I mean,
did you get the vibe that Lamplighter is Butcher's brother or anything like that?
They're real secretive about who it was.
Yeah. They said
Yeah.
he looks like an older version of Huey. I think Shawn Ashmore kind of looks like Jack Quaid.
I'm
So
looking him up right now.
they wouldn't say how he like where he went or anything like that. It would explain why Butcher hates Soup so much. Like if he had such a personal, obviously the Homelander stuff, but that would also add to it. Maybe he met his wife through Lamplighter working at Vought. I don't know, but
It's possible. So Lamplighter is definitely alive.
yes,
yeah, he was in the psychiatric ward or wherever he is,
yeah,
Right.
playing with a lighter.
That's gonna be really interesting. That would be a definitely an interesting plot point to bring up. I don't know if it really adds much more to the character though, because Butcher like already just fucking hates Soups, and he has plenty good reason as it stands
For
right
why he
now.
would,
Just yeah. I mean, can he hate Soups even more? Do I need to care if he hates Soups even more?
good point.
But it would definitely add a little bit of an interesting dynamic to it all. Because I don't think he'd want to. I guess he'd want to kill his brother, but then probably wouldn't be able to go through with it. But at the same token, Lamplighter lit all of that woman's family on fire, right?
Yeah,
So there's that.
yeah, and maybe that's how they got working together because it happened to be his brother.
How many more episodes do we have this season?
Only 3.
3 more episodes. There's have to be a lot going on for 3 episodes.
Well, already renewed for season 3, so who knows how long the
true.
show will ultimately run. But if it runs anything like Supernatural, it'll be on until like 2035.
Well, that'd be lovely.
So
Yeah.
we can talk about that when we're close to 50 years old.
Yeah, Jack Quaid might actually look like an adult by then too. Shawn Ashmore does not look like an adult nowadays either, so
No.
they have a lot of room to age together. Frenchie has gone off the rails this season, and I made a joke about that without even noticing because he's on drugs all the time.
And he is.
And like the whole thing with Kimiko is now ripping people's faces off.
That was brutal.
Yeah, I did not want to see that.
No,
but-
neither did I.
I read that's actually like they pulled that like that's like panels in the comic. Same thing with the dog.
Oh, yeah.
The dog is like apparently a really big part of the comic. So
Huh.
it was a lot of like fan service for people that are familiar with the comics. With her ripping the face off is apparently how you're first introduced to Kimiko in the in the comic. So that was a little hat tip to that. And then the dog is like notorious for like humping Soups. And
That's pretty funny.
And like apparently Butcher just like says a word and the dog goes and like humps a Soup. So that was kind of like a little fan service to that when they I don't know if you remember they had like the Homelander dog toy, and he like
Humping
Yeah.
it.
threw to the dog to hump it. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Is he like a soup sniffing dog in the comics?
I don't know. I don't know what he is.
Because that'd be pretty interesting.
But
So it's like a bomb sniffing dog, but he sniffs out soups.
yeah.
All right. I gotta read the comics. I guess I gotta pick them up.
Or just if you read the reviews afterwards, sometimes people like watch or read the comics and they can like point out the things that came from the comics, which is nice because I was like, oh, okay, that's why the dog mattered. Like that was apparently a lot of people were wondering like where the hell's Butcher's dog? And so
Yeah.
this was kind of like a time where they explained where the dog's been the whole time. So, but it's pretty good so far. I think JP, you made a good point of feels like we still have like way more left in the season than 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Like it feels like there's a lot more story to tell.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's quite hit the peak. And I don't know if we're exactly there yet, because I don't know what Stormfront's intentions are for getting Homelander involved like this. Is it to just overtly be evil? Because she doesn't seem like the type that's overtly evil, just more of a manipulator.
Yeah.
But I'll be interested to see how it goes. I'm looking forward to Thursday night, seeing that again.
Yeah, Thursday night at
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. Yeah.
Since we found when they actually dropped them. 8 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah.
8 o'clock Eastern. So if you're West Coast, you're living the life. You can get some 5 o'clock soups.
Yeah, if you work from home, you could just turn it on the moment the day ends at 5 o'clock.
Gotta be nice.
Maybe I'll catch up and binge on Thursday.
I mean, you can catch up and binge tomorrow.
I could. Yeah. Or even Wednesday. But will I?
No.
Definitely
Never
not.
know.
And next week you'll be muting your headphones for our next discussion on The Boys.
No. Corey's got a built-in bathroom break, so
Yeah, exactly. It's the perfect time for one. But yeah, let's move on from The Boys. Obviously, we'll talk about episode 6 next week. But let's move into our feature presentation. So, as we mentioned earlier today, to anyone who has been listening for the past 10 weeks, we've done our yearly film series about one film that each of us finds very memorable, or they have some sort of attachment to, think it's a great film, not even a great film, but a memorable film of each year. So we've covered 1980 to 1989, 40 films. Let's now go into our decade in review for the 1980s and just cover some films films franchises that we didn't get a chance to talk about, that we enjoy. And
I will say that after doing this with all the 80s films, I've seen a lot more 80s films than I thought I did. I always thought I was kind of lacking in the 80s department, but there was some real difficult decisions for most of these years.
especially in the second half of the decade.
Yeah, definitely. Things definitely.
A lot of good films across different genres too.
Yeah. Things get pretty hammy towards the end. That's nice though.
Yeah, I mean, I know one that always pops into my head, especially, well, not yet, but coming up, is Die Hard. Die Hard is like my annual Christmas film that I have to watch, and it's just...
I thought it was like a divorce film. Like you watch it with Marriage Story and Kramer versus Kramer. It didn't really have anything to do with Christmas.
I'm not in the camp that thinks this is I'm in the camp that thinks this is not a Christmas movie by any means. Just the fact that it takes place on Christmas doesn't mean it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I don't think Die Hard's a Christmas movie. Gremlins is a Christmas movie, but Die Hard is not.
How is Die Hard any less of a Christmas movie than Gremlins?
Gremlins revolves around Gremlins is
so
like
is this. It literally takes place on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, but I mean,
that's it though.
Gremlins is all about you get the
Christmas
gremlin as
party.
a Christmas present, and it's snowing, and there's Christmas. People getting strangled by Christmas lights and shit.
Well, Hans Gruber decides to come and infiltrate on Christmas Eve. During
No
Christmas
snow
party.
equals no Christmas.
What is he, like a terrorist Santa?
It's L.A. It doesn't snow there.
They don't get Christmas movies.
Yeah, I've never seen a Christmas movie based in LA.
This is nonsense. Bruce Willis would be very upset at the three of you.
I don't think he'd give a shit.
Bruce Willis
sure
looks like he gives zero shits about anything in the world. More importantly,
Doesn't have to.
He doesn't give a shit about any of the movies he makes at this point in time.
No, he doesn't.
He just wants that paycheck.
He kept making these damn movies.
That's
Sure
fair.
did. So how many diehards did we get in the 80s? Just the one, or is two in the 80s as well?
I guess it was just the one, but it's a franchise that kicked off in the 80s. And its most successful, most famous one was in the 80s. I
Yeah,
believe
Die Hard was
2
88.
Die Hard 2 was 90.
Yeah.
And the third one was the one with Sam Jackson, right?
Yeah, 3 was
I'm a big
95.
fan of
And
3.
then 2007 was the fourth, and I don't know, 2011 maybe or 12 was the fifth, which I've never even seen the fifth one.
I haven't either.
No desire.
I checked out on the series.
I saw it. It was horrible.
Yeah, its Rotten Tomato score, I remember being like below like fucking 20, and I was like, okay, I'm not wasting my time with this one.
Is the fourth one where he hits a toll booth with his car and flies it into a
Helicopter, yeah.
You're damn right it is.
Fuck that movie.
Is that the one with
my
Kevin Smith?
I remember seeing that in theaters.
Yeah, he was like a superhero.
Fucking garbage.
fucked
Isn't that
up
what the
making
Fast
it
and Furious
PG.
movies do?
I love Fast and Furious movies.
Isn't
I
that
talk
like
bad
straight
about
up a Fast and Furious movie though? Isn't that something they would do?
I mean, probably, yes.
How much are you trying to insult this guy today?
Probably has happened. But Fast and Furious is not based in reality. It's based in a wonderful fantasy land where cars can fly.
At one point in time, the series was based in reality.
This is Doug's What We Do in
Absolutely
the
not. It
Shadows
was based
pent
in
up
the weird
aggression.
underground,
He's still a DVD player.
sexy racing of Los Angeles, and that doesn't actually happen.
Oh man.
Little known fact: Fast and Furious 1, because it's set in Los Angeles, took place on Christmas. It's a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
No, it's not. I'm joking.
And it's also in LA. It doesn't snow.
It could be though, because you wouldn't
I'm
know.
pretty sure it's the summer. It's sunny out.
It's definitely the summer. Everyone's sweating their ass off.
Vin Diesel's gonna fucking be dehydrated. He sweats so much.
So much fucking perspiration in that movie. It definitely takes place mid-July when it's 105.
Die Hard is one of the best Christmas movies.
Not even close. Not even if you classify it as a Christmas movie, is it one of the best Christmas movies?
I mean,
It's one of my
Doug would
favorite.
obviously say A Christmas Story is the number one Christmas movie
Clearly.
because we've settled on that a few weeks ago.
You keep mentioning Doug. I don't know who the fuck Doug
Oh,
is.
you're right. You're right.
Can we all agree that while we may not agree that Die Hard is a Christmas movie, can we agree that Die Hard had
Is a movie. Die Hard is a movie. Yep.
It's definitely a movie.
It had a great
It had
villain.
some action.
Yeah,
It did.
had a good villain.
Yeah. It had a great villain.
Fantastic villain.
Hans
Hans Gruber.
kills it.
Pretty much it, though, because all the other goons suck. They're
They're
just
goons,
like
they're
80s
supposed to.
guys.
What do you guys prefer as far as action franchises between the two big ones of the 80s, I would say? Die Hard or Lethal Weapon?
Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, Lethal Weapon
So
for
would
sure.
Yeah, Lethal Weapon.
It's just way more consistent. I don't think there's a bad one of the bunch.
And I watched all four of them relatively recently, like last month. So
I especially
They were on
like 5. It's my favorite.
Is that when Mel Gibson gets pulled over in real life and starts cursing and saying sexist
No, that's
things?
when they switch the actors halfway through the movie.
Oh, the Always Sunny 5. Yes.
Yeah.
5 and 6.
5 and 6, yes.
Those are two memorable sequels.
Is 2 the one where they have like that Riddler villain that like just leaves them clues? No?
Which
You're talking about
Lethal
Die
Weapon?
Hard, right?
That's 3.
Die Hard with a
Die Hard
Vengeance.
3.
Die Hard 3.
yeah, that's not Lethal
Honestly-
Weapon. I was like, what?
I think that's the best Die Hard. It's Die Hard 3 because Sam Jackson really, I think he makes it for me.
That one's fun.
I like the clues.
Yeah.
I like a good
Makes you
riddle.
think. I like a Die Hard that makes you think.
Said no one ever.
I just said it. Put it in the books. If Die Hard 5 had math questions in it, I'd be all about it.
Yeah, I was wondering. I'm like,
So-
what Lethal Weapon movie had riddles? I'm like, I don't
Yeah,
remember.
sorry.
that. I've watched these movies a lot.
It's very
So
little
as-
detective work in Lethal Weapon.
Like, it's pretty
As
straightforward. Like, Joe Pesci says some jokes, and they make fun of him, and then they solve the case. They shoot someone at the end.
Too damn old for this shit.
Yeah, and that is said, of course.
There you go.
And Mel Gibson has his like, you know, his action scene where he's like running down the street with no shirt on with his crazy eyes, chasing someone.
Which is the one where the mullet leaves? Like, where does his mullet leave the series?
I think when Mullet retires,
4.
only for the fourth one.
4, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he had it in
Wow.
the third one. Yeah,
'Cause-
he still had it in the third one.
I mean, he doesn't even
Maybe-
change his hair. He just cuts the mullet part off on the back, and he's still got like the
Yeah,
feathered
the
mane in the last one.
Yeah, no, in Lethal Weapon 3, he's charming Rene Russo with his mullet.
Yeah.
He woos her.
Women, they love the mullets, right?
In his camper, because he lives like in a camper down by the river.
Yeah,
It's because he has a mullet, I guess.
it's got.
You're allowed to do that. It's free.
Which one is your favorite? Which Lethal Weapon? I think I like the second one the most.
I mean, I'm partial to 4 because it was the first one I saw. Like I saw it in theaters
Same.
as a kid.
It's got Jet Li in it too.
Oh yeah.
But
Jet Li's awesome.
I'm aware it's not like the best one, but
It's still fun.
it's a
It holds
fucking
up.
blast.
They're all fun as hell.
It is just an enjoyable film. I guess the only other huge action franchise is one that I've never even seen any of them. Rambo. I was always more of a Rocky guy, which we talked about the Rocky films somewhat when I believe Rocky 3 was the one that was in our film series. For some reason, we skipped 4, which we fucking love. I don't know why.
Rocky
talked about it so
3
much with
turned
Rocky
into
3.
Rocky 4. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we sort of cheated with our Rocky 3 discussion.
Yeah, Rocky
Has,
3
like, a
became
weird-
Rocky 4 was why we
Yeah.
skipped Rocky 4.
Mm.
Because you can't talk Rocky without talking Rocky 4.
No, what's the point?
Definitely not.
Yeah, it's the most ridiculous of the Rockies.
The one thing I remember about the Rambo movies were just how ridiculously violent they were, and like the stuff that Sylvester Stallone was doing was just so absurd. And I guess they kind of brought that back with I didn't John Rambo, but I didn't see the most recent one because I heard it was terrible. But John Rambo was pretty good. But he's like blowing guys up with a Gatling gun, and they're like 5 feet away. But like
Classic
I
Sly
don't-
Stallone.
I don't remember the originals really having that much of a story. I know, like, one of them, it was like almost like a revenge type of thing.
The first one
Or
was supposed to be like
someone
a
got
real
killed.
movie, and then it just got into like rah rah America, like by the second one, and then just got
Like a serious war movie.
yeah,
that-
like the
that
first
type
one
of
was
thing?
like supposed to be like a serious like introspective film about like post traumatic stress from the Vietnam War, and then they just got fucking. Stallone took his steroids, and by the time of Rambo 2, it was just like a crazy American action film.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even remember any of the other actors that are in them except for him. I mean, they're just I don't know. They're not I would much rather watch like a lot of Arnold Schwarzenegger's like 80s action movies than watch Rambo personally.
Yeah. Again, we love Arnold here at Live Breathe Film. The cornier, the better. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we already talked about
we talked about
Stallone's-
Terminator. We talked about Commando.
Yeah, and I mean we hit upon Stallone's better 80s series with Rocky.
Exactly. Yeah. But since you do bring up Schwarzenegger, we didn't talk about some of his big films. Namely, I guess the two biggest ones that we skipped were Twins, which showed he can do comedy, straight comedy. I mean, he was obviously hilarious in films like Commando, but they were ultimately action films.
Very unintentional funny.
Yeah, and then Predator would be the other big one, which is another huge franchise that, well, it's another franchise from the 80s that never really lived up to. They keep trying to make it into a franchise, but the
Yeah.
results, both box office and critical audience-wise, never really pans out. But
No, because they're shitty.
Doug, you're a huge Twins guy.
It's a great concept. You got this I mean, it's like an odd couple scenario with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. You can't find any two people that look more different in like size, the way that they act. I mean, DeVito's like New York, Schwarzenegger's like Germany. I mean, it's just like,
Austria.
and then to have
He's Austrian,
Austria.
Doug.
Okay, they're like next to each other. They're not that far apart.
Mexico's right next to America.
The culture is very similar. He's basically German.
You're thinking of the character on The Simpsons, the Arnold Schwarzenegger-like character on The Simpsons.
Yes.
I think he's German.
Is he?
I think so.
Sure. So let's
We'll
go with
fact
that. But yeah, I mean, it's just funny because it's like you got these two opposite characters and they're twins. It's like they dress the same.
What more can you ask for?
Yeah, they
It
dress
really
them up
writes itself after that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they dress them up the same and they get into shenanigans and it's just
Yeah, I mean, it was Ivan Reitman's
It's gold.
huge movie in between like the Ghostbuster sequels, the two Ghostbuster films.
Did he write Twins?
I'm not sure.
So I'm fact checking here. Rainer Wolfcastle is a native of Austria, as is Arnold
he's
Schwarzenegger.
also. Shit.
So,
All right, Doug.
0 for 2 here.
Sorry for trying to help you, because I just burned myself too. But yeah, Twins, just a ridiculous. It's a ridiculous comedy movie that for some reason has a bunch of whole action subplot with like villains.
Yeah.
Which was a concept that happened in a lot of, I feel like, comedies in the 80s, 90s. But they kept talking about doing like triplets, and it would be the two of them and Eddie Murphy. But we've never gotten
That would have been hilarious.
that would have been. So
I think
good.
this was
Oh,
my
that would be
first
great.
foray into Danny DeVito. I think this is honestly the first thing I remember Danny DeVito
Before
in,
Batman
or at least
Returns?
seeing as a child. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this probably was like my second or third. Batman Returns being the first, Matilda being either 2 or 3.
Yeah. We watched this movie a lot in my house. It's like two of my my parents' favorite things, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito, because of the New Jersey connection.
And the Austrian connection, of course.
And the Austrian connection, obviously. Long history of Austrians in my family.
The Austrian blood is strong within JP.
It is also bodybuilders and very tall people. Definitely what my family is known for. Very tall. Like the tallest.
And if they did get Eddie Murphy in that third one, I mean, he'd be like the perfect guy because Twins being an 80s movie, Eddie Murphy was arguably the biggest star of the 80s. We talked about Trading Places earlier in this series. We also mentioned Eddie Murphy earlier today in regards to winning an Emmy for SNL, which he was on in the 80s. But he had a couple of big action comedy franchises during this decade, 48 Hours and Beverly Hills Cop, along with Coming to America, which is about to have a sequel. It's supposed to come out in December.
Oh boy.
Also, I believe called Coming to America, but with the 2 spelled out with just a number 2.
Oh,
So
thank God they didn't go the other way.
they're going with the jungle to jungle route.
At least they didn't. They didn't change the spelling of coming.
That's true. That would have made for a really weird sequel. That's the porno parody, without a doubt.
I'm shocked that doesn't exist.
If it doesn't exist already, it will be out at the end of this year.
Potentially, are they allowed to film? What's going on?
That's
with that?
true. I'm not sure what the adult film institute industry is allowed to be doing right now.
Live, breathe, film after dark.
It's where we get into our favorite pornos.
Oh man, we all need to be smoking cigarettes and drinking like scotch or something.
We all have like red smoking jackets on.
It's like, oh, what did you watch today?
Slick back our hair and just like get pencil thin mustaches and talk about adult videos.
They have to be
Let's never do that.
They have to be VHSs, of course. We're going throwback.
Of course.
To the golden age of pornography. Oh shit! All right, but yeah, Beverly Hills Cop, Eddie Murphy. Yeah, those were both 48 Hours and Beverly Hills Cop were huge films at the time, which kind of got to showcase Eddie Murphy like on the big screen, and both very funny films in their own right. I think the sequels were terrible. They probably should have stuck as individual films, but I feel like in the 80s, sequels were kind of bad for the most part.
They definitely
it was just to make more money, and a lot of them they would just be like the exact same movie, just over again, but with little slight tweaks to them.
Yeah, which one was it? The third one that took place in the amusement park? Yeah, that one. Oh my god, it was so bad.
They say they're making a fourth for Netflix.
Oh yeah,
that's supposed to be like his next one that he does.
Netflix loves him now too, so.
Yeah,
I wonder. We're supposed to get a stand-up comedy thing from him.
We're supposed to be getting a tour and comedy stand-up film.
I need that.
He made that massive deal. And his stand-up specials were a huge deal in the 80s as well.
Yeah,
but I haven't seen Coming to America. JP, you say that's like one of his best, right?
Yeah, I really love it.
It's very good.
It's a really funny movie. He plays someone from Africa coming to America because he's there to look for a queen. And where do you go to find a queen in America? You go to Queens, New York. And he just meets all sorts of. Yeah, it writes itself at that point. I mean, as most films in
the 80s do.
You just have a meeting room filled with cocaine. You go, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito are twins.
Yeah, and
it's coming out in 6 months.
One of the producers of Beverly Hills Cop, Don Simpson, he was like on coke all the time. He was he was known for that. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's what they did back then.
I think he also died of a drug overdose.
Oof. Yeah, I love Coming to America.
Do drugs.
I've never actually seen Beverly Hills Cop, any of them.
Really?
I don't think I've ever sat down and watched any of them. I've seen bits and pieces. I know the whole Axel F thing.
You love
first two,
the bananas in the tailpipe.
I do, and I love. I think the most I've seen of Beverly Hills Cop. The most I've seen of Beverly Hills Cop was Clerks the Animated Series.
Exactly. Before the fourth one comes out, definitely check out the first one at least.
I think I'll take a look.
It's got Judge
I don't know if they're streaming anywhere, but yeah, I love Judge Reinhold. He's great. In absolutely nothing I think I've ever seen him in, but I still like him.
I remember there being so many cameos in Coming to America.
Yeah.
Arsenio Hall, definitly. But
Arsenio Hall. James Earl Jones is the dad.
The king, right?
I believe that's the one that has... Is that the one with McDowell's?
I do not know.
Yeah, so in Coming to America, he meets, I guess, the love interest's father runs a fast food restaurant called McDowell's, which looks exactly like McDonald's. Yeah. And he says it's not McDonald's, it's McDowell's. And we don't have the golden arches, we have the golden, I think it's like the golden humps or something like that. It's fucking hilarious. There's a lot of really good jokes in that movie. Yeah, it's Samuel L. Jackson's in it. Cuba Gooding Jr.'s in it as a boy.
A boy?
I feel like
he can't be that young. He was in Jerry Maguire like 6 years later.
Was that one of Sam Jackson's like first?
I guess he was.
A boy getting a haircut.
Yeah, he was probably a teenager.
Yeah. There's a lot of good actors in this movie. A lot of good actors.
He's almost like unrecognizable, I think, from what I remember. Sam Jackson's his like small role.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's
Sam Jackson's like 5th of 700 films.
Yeah, he's just like a hold-up guy. He's just like a random extra. on it.
Our most prolific actor.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Arsenio Hall is a really good supporting actor in that movie.
Yeah, their chemistry is fantastic. They're really funny together.
And then, like we were saying, like a lot of other franchises, action franchises, or comedy franchises, a lot of action to them. You've got Three Men and a Baby, which for some reason has like a heroin subplot. You've got Crocodile Dundee.
Yes.
Ridiculous franchise.
How many of those did they make? 3?
Yeah, the third one bombed real hard in the 2000s. I think it was like 2002. Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles, I think it was called.
And I remember being puzzled that was actually a thing then. I was like, why is this happening?
Yeah, exactly. That was the number one movie the weekend I was born.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so cool.
Yeah.
Blues Brothers has some cool car chases in it. Short Circuit, a big favorite of Doug's.
Johnny Five's alive.
If you say so.
Short Circuit is fantastic, Doug. I will agree with you.
It's a great movie. It's basically
I prefer the
Wall-E, right?
I like the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
like the second one too.
What's the second one called?
Short Circuit 2. They weren't very original with their names back in the 80s.
Really?
I live in the knockoff world where I'm a big batteries not included guy. I mean, fuck Short Circuit. I'm a big batteries not included guy, which has no good actors or actresses in it, but it's pretty much the same concept about robots.
And then going back to Three Men and a Baby.
It's bad.
There's a ghost in that film, right, Doug?
Yeah, I mean that was what was going around on the internet for a while. Was that
Really?
If you looked in the back of a picture or something, people thought they could see a ghost.
I heard it was actually a stand-up of Ted Danson.
It is, yeah. There's a deleted scene in it where he has this weird stand-up of himself, but when you see it in the movie, it looks like a little kid dressed in period clothing with like the suspenders and I'm looking at the picture right now.
That's really weird.
But yeah, if you look into it, if you look at it, it's just Ted Danson. All right, it might be Steve Guttenberg or one of them. It's one of them. Dude, it's definitely not Magnum PI.
That is like the most 80s cast ever.
Yeah, it really is.
You got
it's Magnum PI, Ted Danson, and that Jewish actor.
Exactly. Alan
like
from The Hangover sums it up perfectly.
Yeah.
I feel like that movie probably killed in theaters back when it came out.
People
probably ate that shit up.
It was the number one film the year it came out.
Yeah, there you go. I mean,
hell yeah.
Imagine that being the number one movie of 2020.
I mean, look at the...
Yeah, right now it probably could be.
Right now, I mean, it could be.
I know our VHS copy that was recorded off the television got a lot of play in our house.
Yeah, I mean, now we're used to MCU films being like the number one film like year after year. But I mean, the MCU really did kick off in the 80s.
It did.
With Howard the Duck.
Yep. Retconned it back into being
it's
canon.
It's canon.
It's canon.
It's pretty wild that they somehow did that.
And honestly, the movie should be loaded into a cannon and fired out into space and never be seen by a human being.
It is... I loved that film when I was a kid. Loved it. But recently I saw like a good amount of it and I was like, oh my God, this is horrendous.
It's incredibly perverted.
Yeah. It is not a kid's movie at all.
No.
Is it more perverted, since Leah Thompson's in both of them, is it more or less perverted than Back to the Future?
Far more
I feel
perverted.
like it's more, yeah, because it's not subtle at all. It's just... The jokes are just there.
Isn't there like a sexy duck woman in it too?
Yep.
Ugh. Jeffrey Jones is in it as well, so
that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Principal Rooney.
Howard. Oh no, Howard the Duck like gets with Leah Thompson.
Yeah.
Fuck this movie, dude.
I remember there being like a a sex scene of some sort or like a love scene in that movie.
Well, now it's canon, and Marvel has to deal with that.
Sorry,
Bring back Leah
sorry,
Thompson.
Feige.
That would be kind of cool if they brought her back.
There's gonna be some poor kid that goes to watch this movie thinking he's got to watch it for the next Avengers movie because he saw Howard the Duck.
It ties in.
And holy shit, is he gonna be?
Thanos is actually in it. He's in the background.
He might be.
And then another walking, talking, I guess pre-CGI character would be Chucky. Child's Play was pretty much the defining 80s slasher character that we have not talked about thus far. We already talked about Freddy Krueger previously. We've ripped on Jason Voorhees in the Friday the 13th franchise already. But yeah, Child's Play was one that's still continuing nowadays.
Which movie was it that it like switched from the horror of Child's Play to like just a straight comedy? Was it
Bride of Chucky?
Yeah,
right?
Yep, the fourth
Bride
one,
of Chucky? And then it's been comedy ever since.
Yeah, until the
they rebooted it,
remake kind of went back to the roots, where Mark Hamill played Chucky. That came
Oh
out
yeah, I
last
saw
year.
that.
That one was pretty good.
Yeah, I liked it.
Did you say you saw that one, Doug, or no?
Yeah, I saw it. I'm trying to remember anything memorable about it, but I can't. He was like Wi-Fi or something.
Yeah, it was.
It was definitely updated.
There's technology
for
involved inside the dolls rather than being like demonic, like voodoo possession of a doll, which fucking 80s, man. That's weird.
I like the magic.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't exactly grounded, but it was fantastical and ridiculous and fun for what it was.
Fucking 5G man turning dolls evil.
Exactly. And, the last and latest franchise, well, it should have been a franchise by now, but COVID is pushing this motherfucker back over and over again, and that is Top Gun. So we were supposed to have gotten Top Gun Maverick this past summer, then in December, but now next summer. But
back in the best spot that it could be in June, right?
Yep. Yeah, I think it's like a 4th of July type movie. But Maverick and Iceman will be back. Who doesn't like some ridiculous flying,
Volleyball?
unnamed villains and volleyball scenes?
Was there volleyball? Can you give us that? Since you two already saw it.
There's, of course, you're going to see volleyball in a Top Gun sequel. It wouldn't be a Top Gun sequel without volleyball.
Awesome.
So. Yeah, I mean, the original, I don't know. That movie's classic. Like, I think it still holds up really well. It's one of my favorite Tom Cruise movies, for sure.
Yeah, it was the one that really fucking blasted him into superstardom. He had some hits prior, like Risky Business and stuff like that, but Top Gun was the one that was the number one movie of 1986, and was the one that blew him into superstardom. And that, as we go into the 90s, I'm sure we will talk about quite a few Tom Cruise films. And
I don't know how you avoid them.
Even the 2000s and the 2010s, because that man is still fucking on the top of the world doing his crazy shit, and we're still talking about him. But he wasn't the only Tom to start his run in the 80s and have tremendous box office success moving into the 90s. But the other one would be Tom Hanks, of course. We already talked about Big, but I know he had some other ones that you guys are fans of. The Money Pit being one of them. JP, you're a big fan of that.
Yeah, I watched half of that recently. Fell asleep.
Money Pit's amazing.
Yeah,
it's a great movie. Yeah,
it's a good movie. Yeah,
maybe things like that. Bachelor Party. Turner and Hooch, was that an 80s movie or a 90s movie?
Yeah, I think that is the 80s.
I feel like it just made the cut. Joe versus the Volcano. I think that might have just made the cut or been early 90s.
Oh boy.
89. Turner and Hooch is 89.
And Joe versus Volcano is probably 90. Or no, that was before Sleepless in Seattle. So that would have been the 80s as well. But yeah, both of them had tremendous runs and really pivoted their careers and the type of movies they made over the course of it. It's pretty interesting watching them both start as like Tom Cruise being like a teenage like actor, like dreamboat type of guy, to becoming the crazy action stuntman that he is now. And then you've got Tom Hanks, who started out as like a everyman comedy guy, to being like the biggest dramatic actor of the 2000s and the 90s.
Yeah, he really changed. I feel like Tom Hanks is the one that really did more of a 180, because he was just in comedies to begin with, and now he's
What would you say? Forrest Gump was probably his breakout. Like that was where it changed for him, or like the dramatic roles.
With dramatic
That's the one
roles,
that I
would
think
be Philadelphia the year prior to that. He won. He won Best Actor for that. I believe it was Best Actor. I think he won 2 years in a row for that and Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
But another one who completely shifted roles from comedies to action is Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
I mean, he started out like as Mr. Mom. When we were talking about Beetlejuice, like people were looking at him as like that kind of guy. And then he becomes Batman.
Yeah.
And people rioted, apparently. I mean, I don't remember, obviously, but people were very upset originally, weren't they?
Yeah. Oh, you didn't riot in your like cradle and shit like that? Like, what the fuck? Why is
Mr. Mom Batman?
I might have, but I don't really remember. I guess we'll have to ask.
Your brother could have just been talking to you. Like you could have heard him complaining about it, and then you got really pissed. I was like,
I could see him complaining about it back in the day.
Definitely,
it's Mr. Mom, not Mr. Batman.
And he became arguably the best actor to play Batman.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think so.
And then circling back to Eddie Murphy and SNL, obviously the 80s was the first decade where like the original cast all left, and then they spun out and started to really do film. The biggest one that had the most success outside of Chevy Chase. Ultimately, I'd say Bill Murray likely had without a doubt, his entire career, Bill Murray's been far more successful. But I think if you compared their 80s, they're pretty much on par with one another. But Bill Murray shared the screen with Chevy Chase and Caddyshack. Scrooged was another one. Obviously, we've talked.
God, I love that movie.
We talked Ghostbusters previously. That is probably your favorite Christmas movie? An actual Christmas movie?
I'm saving it for Christmas time, but yeah, definitely my favorite Christmas movie. I have to watch that every year.
It's a good one. I
love it.
Murray's the man.
Yeah. I mean, the whole supporting cast is fantastic too. Bobcat's fucking gold in that movie.
How much fun do you think it would have been? Like, how much would you have liked to have been a fly on the wall during Caddyshack when Chevy Chase and Bill Murray would have had to do their shit together? Because those two hated each other.
And they're assholes.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they're just two complete personalities that are just dicks on the set.
Yeah, because Bill Murray was essentially Chevy Chase's replacement on SNL. So, like, when Chevy Chase would come back, like, the host and stuff, they'd be getting in fights, like, actual fights where they'd have to be broken up. So I can't even imagine or how they thought it was a good idea. Let's throw the two of them together in a film. But it worked.
Yeah.
I think they only have
the paycheck was nice.
They don't have too many scenes together.
I mean, they had to be on set at the same time, though, I'm sure.
Yeah, without a doubt. They couldn't be doing the trickery that they do nowadays when co-stars have beef and they just like film their stuff separately and try to CGI it to make it look like they were there at the same time, like Vin Diesel and The Rock.
Yeah. Or trying to make Vin Diesel and The Rock look like they're the same height.
Yeah, exactly.
One of them was sitting on a crate.
Also very difficult.
Yeah, I would have loved to hear some of the fucking hate jokes that went on between the two of them. That would have been great.
That would have been a roast. Yeah. And then we talked about Rick Moranis last week and how he had quite the run in the 80s with SCTV, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Ghostbusters. But he also had Little Shop of Horrors. That was a pretty big one.
It's a very interesting movie.
Yeah.
They always talk about like a potential remake for that one, but nothing's come of it yet.
Just leave alone.
It's based on a play, right? That's why it's a musical, or
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's based on
a so.
Play.
It's pretty iconic.
It definitely feels like one.
Yeah. The singing.
Yeah, the singing and just the weird sets, and they have like the backup dancers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little Shop of Horrors is, I believe.
Yeah, I have an image of like the plant singing,
adapted.
and like it's got like little babies that are also singing. And
Yeah,
it's just like it's ridiculous, but it's fun.
Yeah. It's been a minute since I watched it, but I just remember being like you said, it's just a fun movie to watch.
Yeah.
Great music.
Yeah.
Soundtrack is awesome.
I feel like we're going to get so many remakes of these films that we've been going over the next like 20 years.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
If you're listening right now and you're one of the people responsible for those, fuck you.
Yeah,
Don't do it.
Please don't do it.
Step away from the computer.
How have we not gotten a Fast Times at Ridgemont High remake? That's one that is mind-boggling to me.
Well, we just got
But we did.
We just got that table read this past week.
Boom.
Oh yeah.
Not exactly a remake, but it's pretty crazy the cast that they assembled for that. That Dane Cook of all people assembled for that.
Yeah. That is something else.
But I mean, you had fucking Brad Pitt, Jennifer Aniston, Julia Roberts, Matthew McConaughey, Morgan Freeman, Sean Penn, Shia LaBeouf, John Legend. Like, there was a lot of people that were involved in that thing.
Oh wow! How long was it?
It was an hour.
Oh,
They said
shit.
they had technical difficulties, so they like only used select scenes. I don't know if that was what they said because they didn't want to do the entire script. But
I
saw some
assumed
of
it wasn't.
It was pretty cool. Shia LaBeouf played Spicoli, Sean Penn's character. He was basically high out of his mind, but he was completely method. Memorized his lines while everyone else was clearly reading.
But they had Sean Penn there, but they didn't have Sean Penn.
Sean Penn
reprise his role.
He did not reprise his role. He played one of the adult characters. I think he played Mr. Hand, the teacher.
Mr. Hand.
So he acted opposite Spicoli instead of playing him.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's got to be fun, though. You go through an entire movie doing one part, and then 20 years later, I guess 30 years later at this point. 40 years later, Jesus Christ. And with that, I'm out tonight, guys. I'm going to go enjoy my life. Just getting to see it done and not playing that character, playing a completely different role. Yeah. That must be really fun.
It looked like he was like really enjoying Shia LaBeouf's like portrayal, like laughing and shit like that. It must have been a pretty neat experience for him.
Yeah.
But
some say that's the first time he's smiled in years.
It probably is.
Good old fucking Sean Penn.
Yeah, obviously when you think 80s, that's one of the big teen films of the 80s. Another one being Heathers. Really fucked up concept since it's about killing your classmates. But Christian Slater gives one of the all-time best Jack Nicholson impersonations throughout like that entire film. I always thought if they needed someone to replace Jack Nicholson in other roles moving forward, just throw Christian Slater in there because he does a really good job with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's the most iconic thing I know Christian Slater for.
Yeah, other than like
Is that-
Mr. Robot is like probably the second most. That TV show
Yeah.
that he had with Rami Malek.
I didn't even know he was on that.
Yeah. But yeah, that capped off a strong end of the 80s, beginning of 90s for Winona Ryder. Since we've talked about her at least once with Beetlejuice. I wouldn't be surprised if we talk about her more in the 90s. And then outside of that, we just had a lot of goofy movies. Well, before I get to those, the 3 goofy movies we got on here. Speaking of Beetlejuice, Tim Burton's film prior to that, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which is a franchise. It's part of a franchise. I don't know if any of the sequels are actually like direct sequels, but
the newest one they did for Netflix with Joe Manganiello is kind of a spiritual sequel. I think they reference some of it, but it's got a lot of the same character, or at least the same actors or actresses in it.
Okay.
It feels very much like a sequel to it.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Oh, it's got so much classic stuff like Large Marge and
I would rewind
Tequila
that so
at the
many
bar.
times.
Like that was just a fun movie to watch as a kid.
Yeah, I'd love it. And I was never a huge Pee-wee fan, but that movie, anytime it was on, I'd be really happy that I was getting to watch it. So,
and then JP, here's one that you and I watched and back in kindergarten together.
oh Lord,
Fucking Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
so spooky.
That
That
one.
movie scared the shit out of me when I was a kid.
Yeah, it's even scarier when there's people about trying to fuck with you while you're watching it.
Yeah, when you have your preteen neighbors like turn the lights off on you and they're jumping out and shit like that during the middle of the movie. But that movie just ridiculous.
It's one of those movies that it's not rated R, right?
No.
It should be though, because
scaring the fucking shit out of kids with clowns.
Yeah, and then there's like the scene where they have the one puppet master guy where he punches a hole in the back of the dude and uses him as a puppet.
Can you have the dude punching a guy's head off?
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that one.
That's the type of shit that they did in like the Jason movies, but they just had clowns doing it.
And I think it was PG-13. And I think that's one of the reasons why because I got to watch this a couple times when my dad was around, because it's not scary, it can't be violent. It's got fucking clowns in it. All you do is boop their nose and they die. I was like, but that man's got his hand in the back of the sheriff. I'm looking at the picture right now. That's horrifying.
We watched it at your condo like maybe 6-7 years ago. I think that was the first time I had seen it in a very long time, and the last time I've seen it.
It's a very fucked up, weird movie. I don't even know how that gets made, but
did you guys watch Troll back in the day at our friend Kyle's house?
Yes,
I did not.
See, that was another one that was like
and the gate,
creepy as shit.
I don't remember
watching that in elementary school. You wouldn't think a movie called Troll, like this was during the era of troll dolls being like the most fucking omnipresent thing in the world. But no, this one has trolls killing people, killing fucking Sonny Bono of all people.
Oh yeah,
and,
I forgot he was in that movie.
And yeah, I remember watching that at his house and being like, oh, all right, this is not for me.
Troll 2 is the one with the acting where it's they killed her, now they're gonna kill me.
Yeah, the like best worst movie ever.
Yeah,
that's true. So Troll was a franchise as well.
Yep.
Yeah, that one gets ripped on all the time for being so bad.
Very bad.
And yeah, I don't know how you even film that and think like, okay, this is the take, this is the winner.
It's when you have about $47 to complete your movie, and you can't afford to go anymore.
Exactly.
Into overtime.
Then, Doug, you've wanted to talk about this movie for a while. I don't know why.
Just chomping at the bit.
You've just been really wanting to talk about it. So let's hear about Witches of Eastwick.
Yeah, it was just a movie that scarred the shit out of me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It was just like a pretty horrifying movie. There's like scenes that are burned into my brain of like this kid or kids watching these like witches take off their like prosthetics that make them look like normal humans, and like they're these horrifying bald witch creatures, and they like take off their hair and like remove all these prosthetics.
It's a completely different movie. You're talking about witches.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I love that movie too.
Oh, well then
This
I
one has
don't
Cher
know.
in it.
Which is-
Jack Nicholson.
That's why I was so confused about why you'd always include it.
Oh man, yeah, I don't know what Witches of Eastwick is about.
So, is this Witches movie even an 80s movie?
Probably not. 1990.
I think it is actually.
Oh,
1990.
God damn
It is not.
God damn it, Doug.
It's a good movie though.
You could have waited 1 week and just talked about it.
Yeah, I don't know what this Witches of Eastwick movie is about. Then.
Has anyone seen The Witches of Eastwick?
No.
Neither have I.
It's got Jack Nicholson and Cher.
Well, Corey,
in it.
you said you were disturbed by it also when you were a kid. So did you
Yeah,
see The Witches
I
of
mean-
Eastwick, or did you see Witches?
No, Witches I've seen too, but Witches of Eastwick, Witches terrified the shit out of me, but Witches of Eastwick I've definitely seen. I was gonna say that movie definitely has Cher in it. My mom loves Cher. I definitely watched it.
I feel like your mom loves Cher, Bette Midler,
Bette Midler.
Barbara Streisand. She like Barbara
I'm not
Streisand?
sure I don't think she's a big Barbara Streisand.
Okay.
fan.
Well, I knew she was a Bette.
She was
Bette Midler
too
fan.
old for Yentl.
Bette Midler is her girl.
Did she watch that new HBO
loves-
movie yet?
No,
Tell her to watch
I don't
Clear
think so.
History on HBO. Right up her alley.
Okay, I will.
No, not Clear History. That's a Larry David HBO movie from like 7 years ago.
We're all over the place with fucking movie names today.
I think I told Freeberg to tell his mom to watch Clear History.
Uh-oh.
All right, I'll look it up.
No,
Bette Midler,
it's called
HBO.
Coastal Elites. Tell her to watch Coastal Elites with Bette
Okay.
Midler.
Good Lord.
I'm gonna have to go back to my
bet-
chat with Freeberg and make
Yeah,
sure
you better text Freeberg's stat.
I recommended the correct movie. All right. So is Witches of Eastwick also like a scary movie?
Apparently, it's Jack Nicholson taking in 3 witches and then manipulating them.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe one day we'll
got
we'll watch it and we'll talk about it.
It's got a 76 on Rotten Tomatoes. It's
Oh, is it a Zemeckis movie? Or no, that's Death Becomes Her.
no, it's directed by George Miller.
Oh, Mad Max.
Like Mad
Yeah.
Max George Miller?
I fucking hope so. Yes. Yes, Mad Max George
The
Miller.
director of Babe, Pig in the City.
Did he really do Babe Pig in the City?
He did the first one. I think he did the second one.
He did the first Babe?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Justice League Mortal, let's go.
Did he do Pig in the City?
Yes, he did.
Look at that guy. What a and he did Happy Feet. Weirdest career in the world. George Miller.
Seriously.
All right. Well, props to George Miller. We already talked about Mad Max previously, so that's why we didn't talk about it today. All right. And wrapping up our talk about the 1980s, I don't think we could go without talking about the 1980s and not talk about John Hughes. I do not believe we talked about any of his films previously. Did we talk Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
No,
We didn't.
I don't believe so.
No.
All right.
Not
We
as a
didn't talk
pick in the
Fer-
80s.
We didn't talk Ferris Bueller. We didn't talk Weird Science, Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, Pretty in Pink. We didn't talk any of them.
I don't think so.
Obviously, we are fans of John Hughes. Spoiler alert, I will probably pick Home Alone for next week for 1990. But we went the 80s without talking about him, which frankly would be a sin if we didn't mention him now. Which is your personal favorite John Hughes, either directed or written? We talked about Vacation, though, didn't we?
That's John Hughes?
He wrote it.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
I think that was what we talked about in 1980. But either way, what's your favorite John Hughes film? And I pose this to each
I
of
mean, the one that I would initially
in the
say
80s.
would probably be
Sorry.
16 Candles would probably be the one that I would initially think of, but I didn't know that Vacation he wrote, so I guess that would be partly 1 too, because I love Vacation. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love 16 Candles.
Classic Chevy Chase performance. And 16 Candles is a blast too. Great lead performance by Molly Ringwald.
Honestly, I think the one I get the most mileage out of is Uncle Buck.
That's a classic.
Was it
John Candy.
Was that in the 80s?
Macaulay Culkin.
Was that in the 80s? That probably wasn't.
89.
Yeah, 89. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, because it was before
89.
Home Alone.
Yeah, I love that movie. I don't really get too into the 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink shit. Breakfast Club was all right. It's just a little too whiny for me.
That movie doesn't hold up as much for me anymore. I watched it recently.
He did a lot of work with John Candy, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was like his muse.
Did
Molly Ringwald
write-
and those two would be
Apparently Macaulay Culkin too,
Yeah.
because he was in Uncle Buck. I think that was one of the first things Macaulay Culkin was in was Uncle Buck. He was very young in that movie.
I wonder if he was a part of Delirious, Weird Science.
I don't know.
Who?
John Hughes.
Yeah, was involved in Weird Science. Since Anthony Michael Hall was one of his big guys as well.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Got stacked.
All right, what about you, Doug?
I didn't realize he had some writing credits for. I mean, this isn't the '80s, but Flubber. Which is surprising to me.
His '90s career was mostly family films.
And then
Beethoven.
he did Beethoven.
I think he used alternate names, like aliases, for a couple of those.
Edmund. Yeah, this is definitely fake. Edmund Dantes.
Yeah.
I wonder why he did that. He just didn't want to be assist.
Home Alone, he used his real name, but the ones after that, he did not.
Drillbit Taylor? Are you serious? Oh my god!
Did he write it, or was it just the story?
It's a story,
Okay.
but that movie was horrendous.
Yeah, remember that movie, that Owen Wilson one, that came out during the whole Apatow era.
Thankfully, I don't.
Yeah, I never actually saw it, but it was not supposed to be good.
I don't
I think it was
so
him.
he
and
just
Leslie
started.
Mann.
He just started writing under this Edmund Dantes
Yeah,
character.
he's
Yeah, it was after
it's
he
credited.
went reclusive, away from Hollywood.
Interesting.
Yeah, if you look in the early '90s up until the 2000s, he keeps coming back as Edmund Dantes.
That's so weird. Well, since I can't pick Beethoven, since that's '90s, I mean, I'm a Home Alone fan too. Murph, I'm with you. That's just a fun movie. I like watching a little kid run around and
Pretty much murder people.
yeah, basically just kill these two guys over and over again.
So you don't want to go with Baby's Day Out?
Fucking Baby's Day Out.
Maybe
What's
shit
your
movie.
80s movie, Doug?
Yeah, Home Alone's in the 90s, my friend.
I'm gonna say an
so is
80s
Baby's Day
movie.
Out. I'm being a dick.
Oh shit! I was thinking Home Alone was in the. I guess Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Okay.
It's fun.
Choice.
Ferris
Ish.
Bueller, the biggest villain of the 1980s.
Guy's a complete piece of shit.
Yeah, he's a pretty terrible human being.
Not the best of friends. Even though for some reason people are like, "Oh, he's the best friend in the world."
It's because people are dumb.
How? He tortures Cameron.
Cameron dies because of him.
Yeah, they neglect to show the murder of Cameron 5 minutes after the credits roll.
Cameron's a great character, though.
He's a great
Yeah,
character.
Alan Ruck does a fantastic job as that neurotic teenager.
Doesn't deserve to have such garbage friends.
Cameron was in Egypt's land.
And then for myself, I will go with the whiny 80s movie that is The Breakfast Club.
So whiny.
Yes, it is very much an 80s film.
I wouldn't say it's whiny.
I mean,
All they do is whine.
complain like about their lives and how tough being like fucking suburban
16-year-old is
teenager.
It's hard. My life's hard.
But the cast is just fantastic.
It's a good cast.
Judd Nelson, Emilio, Anthony Michael Hall, Ali Sheedy, and Molly Ringwald. They're all of them are great, and the principal is fantastic. And Hero Prize is rolling on another teen movie, and I love not another teen movies. So, boom.
Rest in peace to him.
Yeah,
he died
he
shortly after that, I think.
I'm not sure when, but yes, he definitely is deceased. But yeah, that's I think that basically sums up the 80s, these last 10 weeks and today. If we did not include any of your films, it's likely because either we don't like them or we just don't have time to talk about every single one.
The 80s, cheese and cocaine.
Yeah, a lot of good movies.
Yeah, I definitely have a lot I need to catch up on based on what we've talked about. Like JP said, he thought he was surprised, or that was you who said that, right? You were surprised by how much you saw. I think I'm surprised by how much like I didn't see in comparison to the 90s. The decades where I would have like a fully functional brain and cognitive like skills and memory, I've saw so many more movies than prior. So I know I have a lot of catching up to do.
You're lucky. I'm still waiting for that decade.
I should probably stop watching bad Adam Sandler movies on Netflix and start watching these classic films that we've been talking about.
I thought you caught up with those.
Oh, I did. But Hubie Halloween comes out in 2 weeks, so I'll be watching that.
We have to watch it because we're going to have an entire episode based around Hubie Halloween.
Yeah,
so.
We're going to have a watch party.
It's what the people want, a.k.a. us.
Record on Twitch, Hubie Halloween.
Yeah. Any other last thoughts on the 80s?
I'm glad they're over.
Yeah, no. Now I'm getting I'm starting to get a little overwhelmed by the 90s though. The 90s
Yeah, 90s is going to be a lot harder because there's a lot more movies that we've all seen. Like 80s, a lot of times I was like, all right, there's this one movie. It was rare that I felt like I was torn between two. 90s, it's going to be excruciating.
Well, because it's interesting for us because like we technically lived in the 80s, but we weren't really, there. We don't really remember a lot of it. We were so young. So, a lot of these movies we saw from siblings showing it to us, parents.
Yep.
Friends, brothers, friends, siblings, so the 90s was definitely going to be way more overwhelming.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about them. It's going to be a lot of fun. But that is all we have for today. And thank you again for listening. Please like, follow, subscribe to our various pages. Keep giving that feedback. Next week, we'll be back with our yearly film series resuming as we enter the 1990s. So we will be covering 1990 itself. But as always, this has been Corey, Doug, JP, and Murph at Live Breathe Film. We'll be back next week, and we hope you are too.